Two wild Yinzers kicking through the door, loud like a jag off at a pins game fight. Brace yourself, this ride ain't polite. Two Dum Yinzers, loud and proud, heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. Tales from the burg with a hint of mayhem. Pierogi powered, nothing can constrain them. Knocking back stories like an icy cold brew. You never know what these two might spew. Two Dum Yinzers, loud and proud, heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. Tales from the burg with a hint of mayhem. Pierogi powered, nothing can constrain them. Knocking back stories like an icy cold brew. You never know what these two might spew. Two Dum Yinzers, loud and proud, heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. Rivers collide where the laughs always flow. Black and gold thunder everywhere they go. The madcap kings breaking every mold. With two Dum Yinzers, the stories don't get old. Two Dum Yinzers, loud and proud, heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice.
Hey, Holmes. Good morning. Welcome to the show, Holmes. Yes, that's right. This is episode 903 of the Two Dumb Yinzers. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the show. It is Tuesday, February 3rd. Here we are in Super Bowl week, guys, working our way to Super Bowl 60. The season is coming to a conclusion within a week. The Super Bowl will be well over with. We'll be heading toward the Super Bowl 61 season. Hopefully we can see some black and gold in that one, baby. Good morning, everybody. Glad to see everybody on the board. Michael, how are you today?
I'm doing great, my friend. I am just so damn excited to be here. I don't know about you, but I'm fired up.
Always excited to be here. Always glad to see everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody, no matter where you be. Welcome back to the show. Let me jump on the board bright and early today. I don't want to get too far behind early in the show. Let me start down here with the very beginning. I'm going to start with Miss Pittsburgh. Always great to see Miss Pittsburgh. She says, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. And here we go, Steeler Nation. Let's go, Steeler Nation. Always great seeing you, Miss Pittsburgh. Glad to see you on the board. As always, hope all is well with you. Hope snow is starting to melt for you. Maybe where you need to park your car or any other place that may be inconveniencing you in your life. Good morning, Tyrone. My man, what's going on, brother? Always great seeing the GOAT Tyrone on the terrible board. Hope things are going good. Cody says, what's up, Baldy? Mike, he must have known about your manscaping. I don't know how he knew, but the word must have slipped out. He knows about your manscaping.
I think that video may have been leaked.
You don't want that video. You don't want to come across that video.
You don't want that video. No one wants to see that video.
I don't want to see that video. Good morning. What's up, Tortilla? Tortilla says, what's up, Shorty? He's talking to Cody, apparently, because I see in the further comments how he will address that here in a second. He says, what's up, Shorty? What's up, Shorty? Tortilla, he says that Cody is 5'9". 5'9". Nothing wrong with being 5'9", man. Jollymon, what's up, dude? Hey, good people. How you doing, sir? Always great seeing Jollymon on the terrible board, my man. Cody says, remember back when Vanilla had hair? Remember when he had hair? Remember that? That was fun. I don't know what happened to that.
Bunch of haters.
Yinzer Joe, what's up, Yinzer? What's up, dude? Always great seeing the great Yinzer Joe on the terrible board. He is, in fact, an OG. Glad to see you today, Yinzer Joe. Hope all is well with you. Hope things are starting to melt over your way as well. as we try to get back to some kind of a normalcy. But I just got word that we're going to be seeing about 3 more inches of snow come the end of the week here. So it just does not seem like it's going away anytime soon. But you know what? It's February, and Derpy did see his terrible titty, so we should not expect the winter to be over anytime soon, because we know that is foolproof. That prediction there.
Yeah, that's scientifically proven, brother.
It's proven. Tortillas. Okay, let's go right here. Tyrone says Steel Gang. That's right, dude. Steel Gang in the house. Cody says 18% body fat tortilla. Get at me. Let's see. Tyrone says as long as it isn't Derby's terrible titties. Yeah. Chad Schrader, what's up, dude? Chad says, "What's up, Yinzers? Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I don't want no more. I don't want no more snow. Me neither, dude. I'm so over it. Wasn't January the longest year ever? I got to be honest with you. It seems to be longer and longer every year, the year of January. But here we are. We made it. It is February 3rd. We are heading into Super Bowl 60 this week, guys. Cody says, Vanelli, you're the man. I'm just giving you shit because since you abandoned us, he has abandonment issues because of you, Mike. How do you
You know what? I'm
that?
fine. You know what, Cody, you're the reason I left, man. You kept bringing up like this Penn State team that I never. Everyone knows I've been a lifelong Indiana Hoosiers fan my entire life. Me and Coach Signetti and Mendoza, we go way back, brother.
Ty says he's back. Everybody, there he is. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back to the show. Glad to see everybody. We got all kind of things going on today. Things up to the minute, as I hoped. I was leaning in this direction. I was hoping that Scott Tolzien. Scott, is it Scott? First name?
Yeah, I think so.
He was the front runner, so to speak, to be the offensive coordinator for the Steelers. He denied the job this morning. Scott Tolzien, he's been working with Tyler Shuck down in New Orleans. I thought he's done a pretty decent job to get him to where he is so far and made some decent improvements in his rookie season. A lot of people were kind of expecting Scott Tolzien to be the offensive coordinator of the Steelers, but it is Scott, yes. But he turned down the OC job, guys. He is staying with the Saints. Also, there was we were expecting Chase Hazlitt, who is the son of Jim Hazlitt. He was going to be the offensive pass game coordinator. He also turned down the job to stay with the Saints. So just interesting, guys. But we do have Brian Angelicio. I don't know how to pronounce the last name just yet. I'm learning it. But Brian Angelicio will be in today to interview for the offensive coordinator position. Mike, I think a lot of people were expecting and wanting Scott Tolzien. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of these guys, you don't know much about them, but you get the little bit of information that you know, and you start to build it in your head. And you think, all right, well, this guy could be good. He could work with good quarterbacks. He was a quarterback whisperer with Shuck, and it worked out. And again, he turns it down at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, what do we really know? Do we know? I mean, these guys could come. We thought that, when you're bringing in Matt Canada, it's time, okay, this guy's an offensive coordinator. Let's see what he got. I heard good things about him. But you see how that kind of thing turns out. You never know how things are going to turn out, especially with coaches, Mike, and this team being built pretty much entirely on former Dallas Cowboys and Green Bay Packers coaches and friends of Mike McCarthy, of course, is being built. It's about 94% built. We'll look at some of the positions that are still available here shortly, guys, as we are heading through today. As I said, Brian Angelicio, he is the front runner as we speak for the offensive coordinator position. He will be in today to talk with the Steelers. Again, Scott Tolzien turned down the offensive coordinator job. He'll be staying in New Orleans to continue to work with Tyler Shuck down there in his second year. And again, I think he made great improvements from last year, or from beginning of his rookie season till the end. They ended up winning games. They won a handful of games as that season rounded out, where they seemed very, very hapless through the first half of the season for sure. And again, also Chase Hazlitt, who is Jim Hazlitt. You remember him. He used to be an assistant here in Pittsburgh. He turned down the job as well for the offensive pass game coordinator. He also, Mike, is deciding to stay in New Orleans. All of a sudden, the Saints job is the big job.
Yeah, who would have thought the New Orleans Saints would be the hot ticket item? I don't know. Maybe they just want to keep working with Tyler Shuck. I don't know. I was hoping Tolzien would come in because, like you said, the work that he did with Shuck, you can see that he improved from what he was his last year in college to the last handful of games in the pros. Leaps and bounds different. He was able to actually handle pressure to where, my biggest complaint with Shuck was like you blitz him up the middle, he runs around like a lost little squirrel on Adderall, is running around lost and confused, and he seemed to settle down there. So I was kind of hoping Tolzien would come in, but I'm comfortable with McCarthy and Arth working with Will Howard, but having another person with another pretty good track record working with a quarterback, I would have liked that, but I'm comfortable with what we have right now. I just want to see who is going to be this offensive coordinator. It's Arcalecchio or Archipelago or whatever.
Archipelago?
Yeah, Acapella coming down from Minnesota. He was their tight ends coach and their pass game coordinator. Interesting hire for OC that coming from what their pass game did. Might be a nice little addition to the staff too. He just won't be working hands on with the quarterback to help develop as well. But I'm intrigued with these guys, and like you said, we don't know how good these hires are going to be until we actually start playing.
Also, Mike, another candidate for the offensive coordinator position is the tight ends coach from the Dallas Cowboys. Surprise, surprise. That is still, he's still in there, Mike. That is Lunda Wells. He is also a possibility. But again, we do have the first player, Archipelago, coming in for his interview again today. Right now seems to be the front runner, but we certainly will see. We thought again this time yesterday that Tolzien might have been the guy. As we did say, he is going back to New Orleans to work with Tyler Shuck, him and Haslett. We are certainly adding roles, Mike, to this coaching staff more than we've had. We have just as the league, I think, develops, and this has kind of been my argument, Mike, along the way. I've said this often, that it just really felt like Mike Tomlin, Jim Harbaugh, and Mike McCarthy have been these kind of coaches where the league has passed them by. Well, this to me seems like a forward-thinking move in a sense that we're adding all these different positions in the coaching staff. We're adding assistants to the offensive coordinators, to the quarterbacks, assistant. I mean, there's all just a list of jobs that's there now that we didn't have. I like the fact that we're adding to the extent that we are, because again, it feels like you're staying up with the league in a sense, rather than just kind of keep running in place, where it did seem like we were running in place with this team for quite some time. So those are encouraging things. Now, with that being said, I wonder again, Tyler Shuck is obviously that's a big part of probably these guys' decisions. But at the end of the day, Mike, it makes you wonder how much of these decisions was based on the fact that Mike McCarthy already came out and stated that he will be calling the offensive plays. What does that do in the hiring process when you're trying to bring in an offensive coordinator to find out before you even get the job that the head coach is going to be the one calling the plays? Does that play a role in his decision, Mike? And if it does, how do you soften that deal to actually get somebody in here?
Yeah, probably was one of the biggest reasons that Tolzien didn't come here. And like you said, you want to be an offensive coordinator. You want to use that as a stepping stone to be a head coach. Kind of probably saw that in this process already with Schellhaus. Just being the pass game coordinator. Maybe he was passed over because he was not an offensive coordinator, was not calling the plays how McVay calls the plays out in LA. And maybe that kind of soured Tolzien on the role here. Like, hey, yeah, I'm going to have an input in helping to build this offense, but I want more experience calling the plays so I can get to that next level. Now, maybe this guy that we're interviewing from Minnesota doesn't have designs on being a head coach, just wants to be a offensive coordinator, and maybe will be willing to, help design the offense, help design the, work on the pass game, maybe even work the tight ends a little bit, but be okay with not being the guy right now calling the plays. Maybe a little assurance like, hey, later on, if we're both here through my 5 years, year 3, I relinquish play calls, and it becomes you become the main play caller, or you start calling more plays as we go on, have more input in the offense, and then that way you're set up for success going forward. There's got to be some give and take there, because if we're gonna miss out on offensive coordinators because our head coach wants to call plays, something has to be worked out and figured out. Otherwise, you're going to be a head coach / offensive coordinator, and then just get someone to be the pass game coordinator at that point. And they have to figure out something there. Otherwise, we might start losing some pretty good candidates.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you're a pretty hardworking, proud guy if you make it to be a coordinator in the NFL and to take a job to find out you're basically going to be hid behind the curtain, so to speak.
Yeah,
I don't know how luring that can be for somebody, and especially, I mean, you tell my family, yeah, guess what? I'm the offensive coordinator for the Steelers. Oh, okay. What do you do? Well, the coach calls the plays, and so I can see that playing a part, Michael,
yeah,
just in the overall picture. Also, one other coach, guys, we do plan to hire Coach DeMontepecco, Mike. This is somebody that caught your attention, of course. He was in the division.
yeah.
He played for the Bengals. He did a little coaching, I think, for Baltimore, if I'm not mistaken. And also he was the defensive line coach under Deion Sanders at Colorado. He is somebody that's raising some eyebrows. Mike, tell us a little bit about Mr. Pecco.
I liked him as a player. I thought he was a scrappy little D lineman for the Bengals. Like, he's out in Colorado was his last stop. Like, I don't remember that D line making a big jump from when he was there. You had him. You had Warren Sapp training that D line, and every time I watched the Buffalo Bucks or Buffalo Buffs or Colorado Buffs, excuse me, their D line and O lines never impressed me. So for me, this one's a bit of a head scratcher. I thought Carl Dunbar was still a fine defensive line coach. We saw the jumps from year 1 to year 3. Benton was making towards the end of the year. YA Black, Derek Harmon were progressing. He worked with not only the D line but some of those outside linebackers as well. T.J. Watt, Highsmith, Herbig, giving them little fine points of, hey, here's how to attack these tackles, man, from a D line perspective, not just from an outside linebacker perspective. So this one to me is a head scratcher. This is the one I'm most perplexed by, but I'm willing to give it a chance. I don't know this guy's actual track record, but just from what I've seen and a little bit of where he has been, not that impressed with. But time will tell. But I thought it was a mistake moving on from Dunbar. I would have kept Dunbar, maybe brought in someone like a Petco to learn under him or to help coach under him.
As I said, there's a little bit of a trend here. Coach Coach McCarthy's certainly building an additional jobs in his coaching staff, Mike. Of course, we did, as we talked about yesterday, Simmons, we're bringing him back. He's the defensive backs coach, but he's also the defensive pass game coordinator. Again, Chase Hazlitt was supposed to be in some similar role as well as being the tight ends coach. They were going to have him as something as well as a new position, Mike. And then also we have the chief of staff position. I mean, what are we going to have next? The border czar or the the chief of staff?
Right.
So we, again, I like these changes where it seems that we're growing as a team. We're kind of doing the things that other teams are doing. Okay, so you have an offensive minded coach, you have an offensive coordinator, but do you have an offensive pass game coordinator? And some teams do. And you look at the teams like LA, the teams that do have this, Mike, they went out there and their passing game was fine. Maybe just being so deficient from the offense and offensive yards and scoring the past few years. Maybe that's just me really getting excited about hearing the word offense being in titles and people's names. And maybe we can start to see some moving in the right direction as far as this offense goes. Again, it's been many, many years since this offense really was not where it hasn't not been predictable. And again, I'm really excited to open to the new doors and see what this staff is going to do with the offense and even the new players that are coming in. And again, the draft, it's going to be a big off season, guys. So much stuff going on. Mike, finish up your thoughts, and then I'm going to jump back on the board. I don't want to miss out too much today on the board.
Yeah, with all these new positions and new titles being made, that's awesome on paper. But if it does not translate to results on the field,
to me, never know.
This is window dressing. I hope it pans out.
See, here's the thing: we did it without these positions, so now we could take a look at it with these positions. So I'm game.
Yeah,
I'm game.
I want to see, but it's awesome, it's cool. But until I see tangible results, I'm not going to be jumping through the air that, hey, we have all these different titles now.
Oh, I mean, nobody really is. It's off-season talk, man. What do you?
Yeah. Oh no. I get it. I like bringing in more coaches. I'm just hoping it's going to pan out. open-minded. I want to see it work.
It
So if
seems
it
like
works,
they're
it
making
works. Cool.
steps to figure out ways to win and do different things, and I like that.
Yeah.
I like, it's just not a vanilla off season. Let's get to the draft, get our picks, let's get these players signed, and get back at it. It's just more to the whole for me, and I like it. I like what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the effort again. Just a week ago, Mike McCarthy was announced the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and just 1 week later, he has damn near all of his staff built. Mike, he's added positions to the staff. Guys have agreed. Guys have turned it down. So I mean, we're well into this thing. There's no two ways about it, guys. Heading screaming towards Super Bowl 60 this weekend against the Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. That game, of course, is on Sunday evening, and again, that will be the end of the NFL season, as we know the 2025 football season that will be completed. I'm going to get to the board here in just one second. I do want to say these couple things, guys. If at any point, if the screen on your side gets choppy, let us know. Yesterday, we had a little bit of an issue at the end of the show, and we're not quite sure what the problem was. However, if you let us know, we'll certainly get on that ASAP. We do apologize for any inconveniences. Let me jump on the board here. I do want to say good morning, good afternoon, welcome everybody. Glad to see you guys today. Welcome back to the show. This is again episode 903 of the Two Dum Yinzers. Just less than 100 to the big 1000th episode, like season 10, if you will. It's right around the corner. We're going to be there sooner than you know it. Let me jump on the board though. And keep up today. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm going to go right here to Cody. Cody says, yeah, don't talk about college champions Penn State like that. There's them Penn State Nittany Lions again.
I don't know this. Like, I know they have a hell of a wrestling program, but this football team I keep hearing about, I'm not too sure on.
Yeah, the rest, I know they like they're always up there grabbing it. The boys are grabbing at each other, and they got all kind of things. They got things going on over there. Don't you worry about it. Yinzer Joe says, can I claim my Yinzer family on my taxes? You sure can. He says, I'm getting reamed here. I hear you, brother.
Yeah. I'm claiming all my taxes. You're all my dependents.
Stephen P. What's up, Stephen P? What's great seeing you back on the terrible board. He says Tolzien wants to keep working with Shuck. Yeah, you know what? And I think ultimately that's it. They started a job. And you know what? I got to be honest with you. The job is going pretty well. There was a lot of skepticism about this pick by the Saints last year. They did get Shuck. And you know what? From the beginning to the end of the season, there was great improvements as the Saints ended up winning some games down the road that you didn't think they were going to win. So good for them. And again, you know what? If it's better for their career, and also again, I don't know how much it plays the role that Mike McCarthy is going to be calling the plays. I think that might certainly play. It depends on who you are. Maybe these younger guys, like Schilhaas or somebody like that, who expect to do big things with their career. Maybe they're just being advised, you know what? If you're going to do this or you want to do that, maybe stay on the track that you're on. You're going to go there and it's not going to help your career. Whatever. I get it. And good luck to Scott Tolzien with everything he decides to do with his future. Let me go here. Let's go to Angel. Or Angelia. Let's go with Angel. I'm going to start with Angel. Angel Scott Tolzien stay in New Orleans with the Saints. Yes, he is. He was the front runner. As a matter of fact, a lot of people was ready for us to pull the trigger as early as this morning. They thought Scott Tolzien would be here as our new offensive coordinator, but again, he did. He turned down the job, guys. He's staying in New Orleans along with Chase Hazlitt. He was expected to also be on the staff, and he also turned down a job to stay in New Orleans. Glad to see you. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the board. Cody says this. I honestly don't blame them. I wouldn't touch Pittsburgh's offense with a 29.5-foot pole. Chad Trader, what's up, dude? Always great seeing Chad on the terrible board. He says Mike McCarthy called Vanilla Thunder to be your OC. There you go.
Hell yeah, baby.
There you go.
I can't be worse than some of these offensive coordinators in the league.
I can see you over on the sideline with that pad showing the quarterback the plays, and that squeaking sound that we hear through your computer right now on the show. You'll hear that all through the stadium. That squealing sound. You hear it? Guys, see, now you stopped it. But that's what would go on if Mike was the OC. Yinzer Joe says this. Maybe we can trade Shuck for get Tolzien. Tortilla says didn't want to be Aaron. Yeah, didn't want to be Aaron Rodgers' backup offensive coordinator. That's what it's funny, but it isn't. You know what I mean? Maybe. Who wants to come and be an offensive coordinator if you have an Aaron Rodgers on your team? I'm just saying. Take that however you want. Cody says Pittsburgh's offense somehow makes people worse. Joe says, Saints do have a high first-round pick. Maybe they will trade Shuck, but do we want him? I don't think so. I just can't. I don't know. No. Also, Mark Malone says this. Most of that was Shuck. Old Malone knew he'd be a good one. Yeah, you did. You did. You called Shuck all along. Tortilla says, why would they start? Why would they trade him just to restart the process? Yinzer Joe says, I'm more worried about how we're keeping the 3-4 defense when we haven't had a real nose tackle since. That's a good question. The 3-4 defense and the commitment to it before the job was even taken, basically, it makes me wonder, is this a Mike McCarthy idea or is this more of a Rooney idea, Mike? I wonder, because again, it seemed like they were already hell-bent on having, he sat down to make the announcement. It was literally one of the first 10 things that he said out of his mouth was, we were going to stick with the 3-4 offense. And it was almost like, I'm going to say this to kind of keep the crowd calm. And is that what you felt about that, Mike? What do you make of this 3-4 defense not going anywhere and them really sticking with it?
Well, we don't run out of the base 3-4 a whole lot. We play a lot of different fronts, and this new D coordinator likes to tailor his defense to the staff that he has. And you have some big bodies to where you can run some 4-3 looks with the guys that we have. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does it. But it did kind of seem like, it was like, say, hey, you're sticking with the 4-3 because, that's the personnel we have. No, that doesn't preclude us from, next year getting through this year, because you can't completely overhaul your roster while still wanting to compete at the same time. We're built for a 4-3 or 3-4, excuse me. But, this draft, this free agency process can start a change to a 4-3 if you want to go more 4-3 next year. You evolve on the fly, but get through this year using your guys that are there for the 4-3, because this DC said, I'm going to use who I have and I'm going to tailor my defense to it. I'm not married to it. And the Steelers are saying, hey, we're married to the 3-4, but that's just the personnel we have right now. So you want to keep a lot of these guys, use them, but next year you start replacing them through the draft this year, free agency next year as well, and then boom, you can have a 4-3. But I'm not too worried about like what our base is when a lot of teams, including us, run a lot of sub packages. Just because that's the way the NFL is now. You're running a lot of sub packages on defense.
That's a good answer. That could ultimately be part of it because, the personnel that we do have is certainly been a part of this 3-4 for how long.
If we were going to totally rebuild, you can get rid of these guys and start rebuilding to a 4-3. But if you want to keep it and be competitive, you kind of have to work with what you have right now.
All right, let me move on. Cody says, whoever touches Pittsburgh offense, may God rest their soul. Tortilla says, Javon Hargrave was nice. I love Javon, and I didn't miss him until he was gone. I didn't realize how much of a player he was. He was nice when he was here. He did great in Philadelphia, of course, San Francisco. Hargrave was always nice for sure. Steeler Freak John, what's up, dude? Always great seeing Big John Stud, middle name Mud, right here on the terrible board. He says this, Shuck was 40. He was 40 in the draft, number 40 overall.
I thought that was his age.
Let's see. Nice to see you, John, as always. Chad Schrader. Chad says this, there's only one guy I don't want as our offensive coordinator, and is former Eagles offensive coordinator Kevin P. All right. I'm not real familiar with that, but I'll certainly take your word, and I definitely will look into that. I'm not sure, but Tortilla says might as well sign Terrell Austin as offensive coordinator. Vegas from all the way out in Vegas. Welcome back to the show. Vegas says this. He says second and long, third and short coordinators on O&D. Cody says Broderick Jones sacked more quarterbacks than TJ Watt last year. What was more impressive? What was a more brutal sack? Was it the one where TJ Watt grabbed Caleb Williams in Chicago and slammed him like a rag doll? Or where Aaron Rodgers where Broderick Jones tackled Aaron Rodgers when he was running to the sideline? Which one was a more brutal tackle?
I'm gonna go with the Broderick Jones, because that one was unexpected.
You're right. At least
that was like
at least Caleb Williams knew there was a chance he might have got tackled on that particular play. Aaron Rodgers was celebrating, minding his own business, and here comes big old Broderick Jones with the tackle.
I'm gonna say that was elder abuse by Broderick.
Brian, what's up, dude? Always great seeing Brian Pascal on the terrible board. He says the next Steelers offensive coordinator will be Andrew Janocko. Andrew Janocko. Glad to have you on the board, man. Hope things are going well for you, sir. Steeler Freak John says this: it took forever to get Matt Nagy to get a chance and get away from the Reed stigma. Vegas says the jet sweep coordinator. Tortilla Tom Homan with Cook as OC. Yinzer Joe, he says this Hargrave is still in his mid-30s, right? He's still serviceable. I think so.
He's still
And
serving,
at
but
this
he's
point, I mean,
banged
I'm
up.
not paying mad money to him, because then you're going to start putting yourself in a position, if you're not happy with him, as say Cam Hayward, you don't feel that he's playing up to his money, or TJ Watt, who's not playing up to his money. These guys that are over 30 years old, then you start saying, "Oh my God, we're paying this guy too much." So I just don't know if we get back in the Hargrave pool, Mike. Again, early on when he left Philly, I was okay. Before he went out to San Francisco, but at this point, you just added 3 more years onto his career, and again, he's not going to be cheap. He's going to want his money. He's a veteran and everything. So those are the kind of people you have to watch out for when you're paying out, because again, sometimes you can't get rid of guys because they are good enough. But when you don't feel that they're earning that big dollar, again, I think TJ and Cam could be 2 examples of this. Then you're sitting there shaking your fist thinking, well, what the hell did we bring him for? Why didn't we just get a younger guy who's athletic, talented, and has upside, and we could have paid him a lot less money? So I do like Javon Hargrave, and I always did, as a matter of fact, as I said, even back when he was here. But as time goes on, I think we might want to start staying away from those 30 plus. We go after the 30 plus guys a lot, and I think there is some, because some money's being saved. I'm like, everybody we brought in this last season, between Jalen Ramsey and DK Metcalf, and Aaron Rodgers, and then of course you're adding TJ and you're adding Cam, and I mean, these are all guys that they get paid a lot of money. And again, I mean, there was deals on Aaron and everything, but at the end of the day, that's a lot of money for guys that are over 30, especially if you want to bring the age average of your team down ultimately. And I think at some point the Steelers should probably focus on getting the average age of this team down a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, those older guys are really inflating that average age of the team, because there's some really young guys on the team that are playing some good football. But yeah, I get your point. Like, I don't mind having older guys to flesh out the
A
roster,
team that's full of
but
old guys, Mike, do not win championships unless it's a special season. And the kind I'm talking about, where you bring a bunch of older guys together and they end up winning it all with those teams generally just aren't successful. A team that you bring in, look at the Washington Redskins, Mike, over the years, how many retirees or people getting ready to go into retirement they brought to their team, and it just shit the bed, because you're building a team with guys at the end of their career. And I don't know, to me, you got to bring the average age of this team. I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, too. No, you're fine. And like, the thing is, though, with these old guys, like, getting out of their contracts is so easy. You just pull a sport tag. Look at their contracts. They're easy to get out. The hardest one is TJ Watt, but you kind of figure that because he was already on the team. So yeah, if they decide to move on after this year from guys, it's not a huge negative. Like, you see, like, a lot of these teams, like you're talking about how the Redskins back in the day, they were spending so much money on those guys, but like, their dead cap space, they have to get rid of them, crippled them. Like, the Saints were crippled with cap space issues, whereas the Steelers, I mean, the way these contracts are negotiated, you figure you're going to have a guy for at least 2 years on your team. That's when they get the bulk of their money, and then after that, they're free and clear with a lot of these guys. That's the good thing right there. But yeah, this team definitely needs to go younger, especially on the D line. A lot of younger guys.
And again, so you could carry an older guy, and again, you just can't build your team around guys that are in their mid to late 30s. And again, people say, well, they're not on their mid to late 30s, they're in their early 30s. But at the end of the day, your quarterback is 43. That certainly moves the average up. And Cam, again, he is over 35. And, so let's get on these messages, Mike. Again, trying to keep up with the messages entirely today. Let's jump on right here where Mark Malone. What's up, Mark? Always great seeing the great Mark Malone on the terrible board. He says this, guys, I'm telling you, just getting rid of Tallman makes us 100 times better. I think the change is a good thing. I don't know if I would. Some people would word it that way. Other people wouldn't. I'm gonna stay right in the middle, and I'm gonna say I like the change. I think it was time for change, and I think change is going to benefit this team. Because again, I know a lot of people love the guy, and I'm not going to badmouth him. So I acknowledge that the change is. I'm welcoming the change. So let's see how it plays out moving forward. Tortilla says this. He says he's 32, but I think he's under contract. Mike Felice, what's up, dude? Always great seeing Mike Felice. A newer member on the board and on the show. Great to have you, man. He said Scott Tolzien did not take the job. I was hoping he was signing. You know what? And I think everybody kind of had it in their heads. Again, Scott Tulsey, he's the quarterback whisperer. Look what he did to Tyler Shuck. Everyone was a little excited to have this guy maybe come and be the young coordinator for this team. He was a quarterback in the NFL, different. He had a nice little resume. So at the end of the day, I think Steeler fans are like, all right, yeah, this seems like a good thing and a good guy. Let's get him. And he did not. He turned it down. He went back to the Saints to continue to work with Tyler Shuck, along with Chase Hazlitt, again, the son of former Steeler assistant coach Jim Hazlitt. He was supposed to also come in as well. He decided to turn the job down and go back to New Orleans as well. Who knows, Mike? Maybe those few wins that they had at the end of the season, where they were able to improve, give them enough confidence to say, you know what, the Saints may be able to run in this weak AFC South division, and I don't disagree with that. I mean, look what the Carolina Panthers were able to do last year when they finally got their shit together. And again, this is a team that won, what was it, 1 or 2 games the year prior? I don't remember what it was. But again, maybe they think, you know what, we could win some games in this division if we keep everybody together. That's a good possibility, especially, Mike, when you do have a young quarterback and you're focused and you're committed to developing that quarterback. Sometimes that plays a role. So good on them if that's the decision that they made and why they made it. Unfortunately, we continue to look on. And also, Mike Felias, I do want to say that Brian Acapello, again, Angelicio, he is being interviewed today right here in Pittsburgh for the offensive coordinator job. So we'll be keeping our ear on that all day today. Also, another candidate is Lundell Wells, the tight end coach from the Dallas Cowboys. And Acapello, he is the passing game coordinator in Minnesota. So, again, he got to work with the situation they had in Minnesota this year. And if he was there last year, and I think that he got to work with, of course, Sam Darnold, who's in the Super Bowl, and he had an excellent season as a quarterback there. So, again, those two names are the front runners as we speak. Again, I'm seeing other names pop up. I seen Brian threw up a name earlier, also on the board. So, again, nothing's set in stone as this staff is about 92% full. Mike, I'm going to pull up the jobs here shortly. We're going to talk about the positions that are still open, some of the positions that were filled, and what we have left to do. But again, as of right now, it is 100% true. Scott Tolzien did turn down the job this morning. He's going back to be back with the Saints, and also Chase Hazlitt as well. So the search continues. Some hope that they would wake up today and hear the big news that we signed and hired Scott Tolzien, but that's not what's going on. He's going back with the Saints. We are still hunting the position down, Mike. And again, Brian Acapello, he will be in today for the interview. So this may be the guy. We don't know, but we'll certainly be on top of that and so much more. Everything that goes down, guys, it's happened. Everything is it's coming so rapid now, Mike. And you know what? Here we are going into the Super Bowl. This was not where we thought we were going to be this particular week as we get knocked out of the playoffs a little over 3 weeks ago against the Houston Texans. You go into the offseason, coach steps down the next day. So, Mike, I mean, we love the offseason. There's a lot to get into and a lot of work to do, but this really just took it to the next level. And you know what? It's a blast. We're not even at the Super Bowl yet. We have, again, about 92% of this coaching staff filled. So much more to come this offseason with the draft coming in April. Also free agencies and everything, guys. There's so much. We got the combine starting at the end of this month, and don't forget the Pro Bowl tonight at 7:00 on ESPN. The Pro Bowl, that's right, Tuesday night Pro Bowl, going into the Super Bowl week, guys. Part of the Super Bowl festivities this year, it didn't have its own weekend like it usually does. It is midweek right here, Tuesday, Pro Bowl tonight. Check that out. Let's jump back on the board, Mike, if you have nothing else to say to that.
Real quick.
Yes.
With the Saints, if I was one of those guys, I would believe you have $90 million in dead cap space. They're really not going to be adding a whole lot to your offense.
Right.
You're not going to be getting any new weapons and stuff. You kind of are what you are, whereas you can come to like a team like Pittsburgh and adding weapons.
And I think maybe these guys are just good coaches. And let me tell you why. I often talked about, Mike, back in the early 90s when I was a young teenager, and I watched the Steelers progress from year to year. And I really followed it because it was my thing. And again, they after Noel left with a below 500 record, Cowher came in and put up a 500 record. And then he went to the playoffs. And then he won a playoff game. And then he got to the AFC Championship game and fell 3 yards short. And then the next year they went back to the Super Bowl. So maybe, good coaches, they want to continue to be a part of the process. If they really feel that
Yeah.
there's an improvement going on with the Saints and with Shuck, maybe they said, you know what, this is our job. This is what we want to do. We want to see this process play out and be successful because of it, instead of jumping for money and jumping for whatever.
Yeah.
If that's the reason why, and they do want to stick with this team because they feel that there's a chance, and everybody pretty much knows the Saints have no chance, but if they really believe that there's a chance they could turn
Yeah.
things around and improve the organization, I say good on them. That's a good quality in my opinion, and good coaching quality again in the future. Maybe when he goes to get a bigger job somewhere else, people will say, look at this guy, look at the dedication. He didn't jump here to there for money.
Yeah.
He really had believed that this Saints team and this young quarterback can do something. And I can respect that wholeheartedly. So if that's the case, good for him. If it's not, screw him. He's not going to be our offensive coordinator this year. We were still on the search, guys. Let's jump back on the board, everybody. Welcome to the show. Glad to see everybody today. This is again Tuesday. The weather's slightly warming up. Like it's supposed to be snowing again by the end of the week. I'm seeing 3 more inches on Friday, but it is February. So what do you want? What do you want? Right?
I want 75 and sunny.
Yeah, me too.
Of course, when 75 and sunny gets here, I'm going to bitch about it.
Sure are. I seen it. Sweating from every pore you have. I seen it. Let's jump back on the board here. I'm going to go to Tortilla. We're going to get 900 wins this season. 900 wins this season.
The math checks out.
The math does check out. We had all the calculators running on that. Mark Malone says going to score more than 9 points in a game for sure. But are we going to score any first drive points? Are we going to score any first quarter points?
Dude,
the thing was, we were just so bad at that. I don't even think people realize, because it was such a normal thing for our offense to not score points early and not score in the first quarter. You kind of got used to it, and you're like, well, we find other ways to win late in the game. We don't start till the second half. The Steelers started playing. It was unbelievably bad. The fact that we didn't, like, we went, I think the very last game of the year or something, we scored in the first quarter.
Yeah,
and it ended up being, I mean, come on, that is unbelievably bad.
Yeah, I kind of hope I'll laugh my ass off if the very first game we play, we score no first quarter points.
I mean, a lot of people are. There's a lot of people like yourself that kind of want this to follow. I mean, I don't know if you want it to fall apart, but there are a lot of people that do.
Are we doing this shit again?
There's a lot of people that are going to go, ha, 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 you wanted to get rid of Coach T. Now look, ha, ha, ha. See, I mean, everybody got an opinion, so that's.
I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying I think it would just be quasi funny. Like, God damn it, we're doing this. We change, and the same things keep happening. It would be such a Pittsburgh thing. You see it in all of our sports. We change something, and then the result stays the same.
I'm ready for different results. I don't know about you, Steeler Nation, but I'm ready for some different results, and I hope we could yield those results, because again, the last 5 to 10 years they took it out of me, man. I used to have I used to have no gray hairs 10 years ago. Before the Steelers lost that first of 7 playoff game. It makes a face like I'm lying. Believe me, 10 years ago I didn't have all gray hair, and I look nothing like I do now. And here we are 10 years later. So there you go. Do what you want with that.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, in my 30s, I had a full gray beard. You're out of your mind. Just because all your hair was gone in your 20s. Don't drag me down.
You're Benjamin Button. You were born old. You just haven't aged backwards at all yet.
I'm still getting there. Vegas says this. Vegas says Kraft didn't make the Hall. I was just going to actually bring that up. That was going to be my next segment break conversation here. Yeah, Kraft did not make the 2026 Hall of Fame class. Either watched them not to vote for Ben on the first ballot after his off-field issues. You know what? I think Ben does get in first ballot. And I think it's going to be hilarious that Kraft isn't getting in first ballot, and also that Belichick. And I think that's the football world acknowledging that these guys cheated, and saying, you know what, we're not going to throw these guys, we're not going to rush these guys to get into the Hall of Fame. If again, there's video. There's video gate, there's deflate gate, there's evidence of all these things. It's not just we're saying that they cheated because they beat us. It's well known that this team cheated multiple times during their dynasty. So again, I'm glad the NFL is standing up and saying no. And if you do let them in, don't let it be first ballot, Mike. Exactly.
And they're obviously going to get in. I don't think they should, because these were major cheating scandals that affected the integrity of the game. So I don't think they should get in, and I think voters are going to hold stuff against Ben, not the off the field stuff. They're going to hold, oh, he had these great defenses. He had these great defenses. That team carried him to a Super Bowl. Yet they
Every
didn't win
team that
before
goes
he
to the
got
Super Bowl
there.
got a pretty damn good defense. That's a terrible argument. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they're going to hold that first Super Bowl performance against him and discount those 3 playoff games to where the Steelers were a run-happy team until those 3 playoff games, and they let Ben throw the first half, build up leads, and then relied on the defense and Jerome Bettis to wear them down the rest of the game. They're going to look at that. He had all these defenses in Jerome Bettis, and that's why he won. And I think that would be why he doesn't make it as a first ballot Hall of Famer. He should be a first
That's the
ballot Hall of
stupidest.
Famer. You look at the
I gotta be
totality of
honest
his
with you.
career.
That would be one of the dumbest
One of the
reasons.
best.
So the guy that has nobody around him, has a terrible team, never wins, but has good yardages should be the first people in. You see what I'm saying? Like everybody that wins Super Bowls have good defenses. Everybody that wins Super Bowl has running games, and so again, I hope that's not the argument. It seems to me that this thing, the New England choices are because I would think it's because they cheated. Otherwise, Bill Belichick would and should be a first ballot coach again, winning a million Super Bowls, being the 2 million. Super Bowls and all these things point to they really should. There's no reason that they shouldn't. So it makes you say to yourself, what's the reason? And I think it's probably because of the scandals, Mike. In the again, I'm seeing right here Spygate, Deflategate. I mean, it goes the whole way down. How many gates do these people have? And at the end of the day, I tend to think maybe this is the reason why that they didn't get in at first. I think at the end of the day, they should be. Because going by football numbers and going by wins, they did it better than anybody for 2 decades. How can you not put these guys in? But at the end of the day, it seems to me like they're setting a standard. They're setting a precedent, if you will, Mike, by not putting those 2 guys in on the first ballot. I think Ben gets in on the first ballot. I truly do. I really don't find any reason whatsoever to think you wouldn't put Ben Roethlisberger in on the first ballot. I truly don't. He's a top 10 quarterback all time.
Yep.
He's took the team to 3 Super Bowls, won 2 of them. He's the only quarterback to throw back or 2 6-touchdown games. What do you have? 500 yards, 6 touchdowns against Seattle the one year. I mean, there was a whole bunch of things that he did that nobody records that he did that no other quarterbacks did. There's a lot of things, Mike, that would qualify Ben to be a first-round Hall of Famer. And again, if they don't, I'd be very surprised. I think Ben goes in next year. And again, maybe Belichick and Kraft do as well. Maybe they were setting a precedent, Mike, saying we're not going to rush you into the league, into the Hall of Fame if there was issues along the way, such as
cheating,
apparent, cheating and everything else like that. What do you think?
I think so too. I think that's what the league failed to, administer correct justice. And these sports writers are like, this is the Hall of Fame. You have to take everything into consideration of what you did on the field. And cheating is on the field. Yes, there are guys in there that have some horrific off the field issues. But the baseball has a morals clause, football does not. So you can't hold that against those guys. But what the Patriots did affected the product on the field, affected the game.
A moral clause is one of the dumbest things I ever heard. You're either you're a good person or you're a bad person. Listen, if you bet on your sport, you probably shouldn't be in. I don't know. I don't think that's a moral. It just to be a clause to tell you that things are wrong. I mean, I
agree. But you cheat, you shouldn't go in. Like, you get caught, big scandals, you don't get to go in. Now, if you get suspended for a PED, but you still do well after that, and you're getting tested all the time, okay, you're going in. But if there's going to be something mentioned in there, hey, was caught doping. It is what it is. But these guys, they were caught and told to stop doing it, and they continued to do it. I just don't like it.
Vegas says Drew Aller is Make-A-Wish Josh Allen. There you go. Tortilla follows it up by saying Penitentiary State University. I thought it was Penn State, but Penitentiary State.
Yeah, this is the really first time I'm hearing about this university. So you guys are really educating me.
Steeler Freak says, when I get real stoned and bored, I report that the podcast is choppy just to watch Ryan unravel. I like it.
Fucking chaos junkie, John. I love it.
He is always adding his Adding his assistant, Somber. What's up, dude? Always great seeing Somber. Nobody wants to go in somewhere they can't do a job in advance. All right. Exactly. Tortilla. You never worked at Burger King? I worked at Wendy's once. I gotta be honest, at that point in my life, it was actually really fun. Let me just scoot along here. Somber says, I sure wouldn't. Mark Malone says, yeah, what the F is that? Vegas says, I've purposely never worked around food. Joe says, please, at Mark Malone, the stats on Tomlin and McCarthy are the same. Basically, there is nothing telling me this was a forward move. Feels more lateral to me. And if so, his staff is big. They got to prove something. Absolutely. And that's kind of what I'm looking at as well. Again, there was a lot of things that I found very common, very similar between, again, Mike Tomlin, Mike McCarthy, and I've said Jim Harbaugh as well. I've always kind of lumped those three in together. And as far as the numbers and the whole way down the stat sheet, you're right. Everything is almost identical. And who knows if McCarthy would have coached that extra year instead of taking it off, they could have been even closer to being identical. And at the end of the day, but a couple of things that I'm noticing, Yinzer Joe, maybe what Mark is referring to, I can't confirm nor deny, but maybe just the fact that it's an offensive-minded coach opposed to a defensive-minded coach. And a question about Tomlin being a defensive-minded coach. Why was the defense always so bad? And again, in the playoffs and last year, giving up 250 yards rushing the ball. So again, those kind of things you hope are going to change. We kind of we're living on the reputation of him being a defensive coach, and again, it kind of shit out after time, and it lost steam. So I think people were hoping that a new energy, a new head of steam, an offensive-minded coach comes in. He's from Pittsburgh. Hey, again, there might be just that much more motivation. We always talk about getting millionaires fired up and excited to play on Sunday. They don't want to leave their homes. They got a lot of the nicest of everything. But when there's a guy from your town and that's part of the motivation of what he says it's his dream job, you might get some different energy, guys. And again, you can see hopefully that will resonate through the locker room. And you can start to see the changes that you wanted to see. But again, there's a lot of similarities between the two Mikes. I'm not going to disagree with you, Joe, at all. I've been saying it all along, and I think the similarities are more than they're not. And at the end of the day, I think it's just they wanted the Steelers to basically stay the same, but they wanted it to improve, if that makes sense. And I think that's ultimately what they got. They got a guy that's basically going to keep the Steelers the same, but with the differences that he brings, maybe that will allow us to improve while staying the same, basically the standard being the standard, if we want to continue to use that term. But I couldn't agree more with you, though, Joe, but I do get what he's saying as well, though, because, again, look at the new energy that you get in coaching and hockey. This Pittsburgh Penguins team is one of the hottest teams in the league. Last year, we couldn't get a win to save our lives. We just had our third or fourth streak of 5 games or more, and that just got snapped yesterday. But new coaches sometimes go a long way in sports. I know they do in Pittsburgh, so let's keep our fingers crossed. And again, there's he's on a timetable. If this thing doesn't work, we'll move on. But let's see what he got. Again, if he could continue to be the Steelers, what the Steelers have always been, and just change. And I think that's kind of what they're looking for, Mike. They don't want a whole lot of change. They just want to change the things that really fell by the wayside, things that we're not as successful at anymore, things that maybe Mike McCarthy might be able to come in and make a difference on the offensive side of the ball and be able to score points and be able to do the things that are going to keep us in football games. Was this the greatest hire ever? No, I wouldn't say so. Would you rather have had somebody else? Yeah, probably. But at the end of the day, for what it is, I can see the value of where there can be improvement, and I'm here for it. Again, if my team wins, I'm going to be excited. If they don't, we're going to come here and talk about it and figure out what it is they might have to do next. But where we are in the game, February 3, 2026, I think that I'm okay with things, Mike. And again, there's so much more that has to go down. And again, I think that's why I'm so okay with things, because I know that we're still hiring more people. I know that we're still drafting people. I know that there's going to be guys that we're cutting. I know there's going to be guys that we're signing. There's going to be free agent moves. So at the end of the day, I find it difficult to not be content at this point, Mike. I think that I think I'm content at this point.
So am I. Change happened, and now you just got to see, did we hire the right guy, and did he hire the right position coaches? Because this is a playoff team. This is a division champion, and we got to repeat that results. We got to build upon that. There's a foundation there, and can he be the coach to get us over the hump? And that's all we can hope for, is that him and his staff and the new players they bring in are going to be the ones to get us over the hump. And if not, what improved outside of the schedule. Like what players may jump. Does the offense look better? Does the defense look better? Because those can look better, and you can have a worse record or the same record and similar results. But as long as we're seeing the improvement, then this was the right hire, and then his staff was the right hire. So we probably have another 7 months until we figure out if this was the right hire or not. But
Yeah.
hey, we get to now see. We saw what coaching staff they're building. Now I want to see what kind of roster they're going to build.
Absolutely.
Who's staying? Who's going? So there's still a lot to go. But like I have my baseline for what I'm expecting to see out of this team, and that's just going to be my expectation going into. My expectation last year was 10 to 11 wins. That's my same expectation this year is 10 to 11 wins, get into the playoffs, and let's see if we can do some damage.
This is what the coaching staff looks like at this time, Mike. Of course, they are bringing in Acapello, if you will, today. Mike, he's going to be coming into interview for that offensive coordinator position. Mike, the quarterbacks coach remained the same as Tom Arth was retained from Mike Tomlin's coaching staff. Also, Raymond Chinyoung, he was brought in as a running backs coach. Adam Henry brought in as a wide receivers coach. The tight ends coach position is still open as we speak. As I said, I know that Lunda, he was going to be here, Mike, but I know that he's also coming to try to get Lunda Wells, of course, from Dallas. He's also talking about trying to get the offensive coordinator position, but he is in the mix. But there's nobody at the tight end coaching job right now. Offensive line, James Campen is the guy. Assistant offensive line coach, of course, is Jahari Evans. We brought him over last week, Mike, and then again, offensive assistant. I like this offensive assistant, Frank Signetti Jr., of course. Mike, his official title is unclear, but as of right now, he is the offensive assistant on defense. This is how things look, Mike, for the Steelers coaching staff as we speak. Patrick Graham is the new defensive coordinator, of course, coming over from Las Vegas. Mike, the defensive line coach right now, I think they're trying, Mike, to land the deal with Mr. Pecco, I think is what's going on. That is still in the works. Sean McCurley, Mike, he was retained as the inside linebacker coach, of course. Mike, Sean McCurley from Mohawk High School and also Pitt, graduate from both of those places. Some home blood. To the outside linebackers, that's still open, Mike. CJIU is a candidate from what I know, and I'm looking at. I thought it was updated, but apparently it's not. Jason Simmons, Mike, he is the secondary coach, along with what is he? The something else now too.
The defensive pass game coordinator, correct, for Simmons?
Yes. So he is also, Mike, he's gained that. And then let's take a look down here at the special teams. We have special teams coordinator Danny Crossman and the strength and coordinating, Mike, the head strength and conditioning coach is Mark Lovett, and assistant strength and coordinating coach is Grant Thorne. So, Mike, there's still 2 or 3 positions left to be filled. They could be filled as early as today, realistically, again, with the interviews going on for the offensive coordinator position, Mike, and the few others that we do still have. But we're this close again. And this is kind of where I think you want to be, because in a few weeks here at the end of the week, you are going to be at the combine. You're going to be Andy Weedle and Omar Khan and Mike McCarthy up to your ears as far as watching the younger kids coming out of college, preparing for the combine, showing what they got. Guys are going to be traveling to Indianapolis, making the trek over there, trying to get a look at these kids as the draft does come here in Pittsburgh, looking, of course, to hit a home run, the Steelers, in this draft in Pittsburgh. I think, Mike, that this is a big opportunity. And again, if you could kind of maybe build off of this and make this the ignition to what it is the next step of the Steelers wants to do, maybe we won't have to take such a drop in between in the transition, and maybe continue to stay competitive, which I think ultimately the Steelers want to do, obviously, by the way that they're handling the situation, Mike. But I think if they hit a home run in this draft, and again, everything is new, this can be a really exciting football season. And I'm going to get to these messages here in just a moment, but somebody did say, I just seen as it went by, they said scoring points in the NFL is a good thing. And I couldn't agree more. So, Mike, maybe some of these additions, and certainly on offense, some of the coaching additions could create that improvement that we are so desperately. And it's not that we're not just scoring more points than the other team. Mike, we're just not scoring points in important times, and that's a big time problem that needs to change this year and more and more every year.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that too is like who's the quarterback going to be? That's the big. You can get all the nice shiny pieces at wide receiver, running back, offensive coordinator, pass game coordinator, wide receiver coach. Who the hell's throwing the ball? Who's running the offense is going to be a key indicator too. If you have someone back there that's not up to snuff, and you have all these nice pieces, and you can't get the ball to them, offense is going to be still going to be shit. So
That's worst case scenario. What if the quarterback comes out? What if let me tell you, nobody really talks about this. What if the quarterback comes out, Mike, and he does, and he's wonderful, and he does the job great, and he picks everything up, and he comes in and he's just able to start slinging the ball around. So I mean, everybody's always a little on the negative side. Let's think of it positively, Mike. Let's say he steps in and he's able to give this team a nice run. He wins 5 games in a row in the middle of the season. He puts you in a nice position, a nice seating to go into January. So again, a lot of people are very doubtful, but again, it's not as we're starting over fresh with people that never played the position, or you know what I'm saying? There's a possibility that things can go well. And again, I think everybody's taking the negative route because again, that's just a more natural thing that seems to do anymore at the end of the day. But Mike, at the end of the day, things can be improved to the point that we're a bit surprised, and I hope that that's the way that it goes. And there's no obvious reasons on why it shouldn't. You know, there are people that wanted things to go different ways. There are people that wanted different coaches, different this, different that. But this is what we have right now. And as it is, Mike, I am going to continue to support my team and hope that they win as much as they can and get into the playoffs and do what they got to do. And hopefully we can start that process with this new group of gentlemen running the show. And this could take us down a new road for our Steelers and, again, lead us to the promised land at some point.
And well, yeah, I'm rooting for them all. But, you know, it just remains to be seen. You know, quarterback is the big issue. That's been the big issue since Ben blew out his elbow. What are we going to do at the quarterback position? And that's still an issue now too. So hopefully Will Howard can be the guy, or whoever we get in the draft or free agency can be the guy.
All right, I'm going to jump back on the board here for a little bit, guys. Let's get on the board, and I think I know exactly where we're at right here. Mark Maloney says, "I thought that was crickets." No, that's Mike's computer. It's
my computer.
It's like a running hamster wheel.
It is too.
It's where Derpy gets his exercise, in case you're wondering. Tortilla, I swear I seen Derpy working at Burger King. I seen Derpy eating at Burger King. I do know that. I can't confirm the working, but if you've seen them there, more than likely he was eating. Vegas is hiding food under his boobs. Like a couple of lunch trays and some trays you got to carry around. Let me scoot up here. I think we convert to 4-3. This is Mike Felice is saying I think we should convert to 4-3, and maybe eventually we will. Again, like Mike says, we're kind of built for the 3-4. Not greatly. I don't think we're built great for the 3-4. As you said, we haven't had a great nose tackle probably since Big Snacks, but it's a possibility to move to the 4-3, especially with the changes happening. I think that maybe the Rooneys and possibly Mike McCarthy, while they sat down in the interview, said, you know what, we'll start with the 3-4. The 3-4 is what we do here, and maybe we'll go from there. So I can see it changing, guys. Let me scoot up here. Mark Malone says a tortilla working on a triple whopper and large fry. And what's that going to cost you? About $43? I cannot believe what fast food costs now. It's unbelievable. Steeler Freak says Derpy is on a sumo wrestling tour. Let me scoot up here a little bit. Vegas Penguins should stuff Derpy. Penguins should stuff Derpy and go and shut out everybody. Yeah, I know you're right. Let's see. Somber. Both Super Bowl teams run a 3-4 base. Yeah, and there you go. They do. You know what? It didn't even dawn on me, but you're 100% right. Both teams in the Super Bowl run a 3-4. I'm sorry. Tortilla said the ice would crack. Mark Malone says we don't even run 3-4. We used to anymore. We haven't for what seems like a decade. Mike Felice says the goalie was definitely on point last night. He was the number one star. Yeah, they sure was. They're back at it tonight. They traveled up to the Long Island, take on the Islanders tonight, get back on track. Caleb got effing ragdolled. Yeah, talking about that sack, of course.
That thing was great.
His body, it was crazy to see somebody with a body that size get thrown so fast by another person. You know what I mean? He was here and then he was there. There was no B to Y. It was A to Z. 1 second he was getting grabbed by Watt. Next thing you know, he was on the ground. And
that's like the dad that slickered up playing the turkey bowl with the kids.
Right. Oh, come on, get up. That doesn't hurt.
Give me another beer.
What's wrong with you? Tortilla says we run a 3-4. We run a 3-4 defensive touchdowns per game defense. We run a 3-4 touchdowns per game defense. Mike Fly says we don't have a pure nose tackle. We don't. We kind of just been moseying along with what we've had, and again, they never really went out and got the guy. I'm like, maybe you put YA Black in that position at some point and see what he can do. And I think, and they have off and on. Like he would be the closest thing I would say as far as being built like a pure nose tackle that we have.
Body weight wise, yeah, I think he might be a bit tall for that. There's someone in the draft, Dante Corleone, the Godfather, out of Miami, I think. He's like 6'1", 320, 330. That's a little short, little fat guy that I want if they're looking for a nose tackle. Put him right there. A short, little fat guy.
You better tell me when you're gonna snap the ball.
Exactly.
Vegas says call Tuitt up. I always love Tuitt, man.
Dude, that D line, I love that D line up until that Jacksonville playoff loss, where all three of them couldn't fucking move an offensive lineman.
Yinzer Joe says they do run 3-4, but it's wide coverage. It's not the same, and I don't think it's worth playing that way. They better get a big guy in the middle. Can't use Benton. They all get pushed around. You're right. Benton's just not that guy. Not for that, for sure. Mark Malone says do it in the wide receiver room first. Somber says so sign or draft one. People keep saying we don't have a nose tackle like there are. And Somber, my point is, why did they never go get him? We've kind of just been hanging on this Keanu Benton forever. And for 2 years at least, I thought he underimproved. I thought he came along last year. His numbers were a little bit better last year than they have been in the past. But they just never went after the guy. For maybe they were content with what they had. But at the end of the day, I always thought they should have went after somebody more dominant on the defensive line for sure. Certainly at the nose tackle position. Mike Felias says, I think, he did play better this year. I'll admit to that. I'll agree with you 100%. Mike says this. I think Benton played very well this year. His numbers were certainly up. He got to the quarterback. He was able to finish plays more than he has in the past. But there was a streak of a couple years. And again, how much more can we put years into failing, guys? I think we need to start recognizing what some problems are and nipping them in the bud a little bit earlier than we have been. Again, we went 10 years without winning a playoff game. Maybe, and listen, this isn't a shot at the coach. I'm just saying maybe we should have started thinking about making changes a decade ago, perhaps, and instead of letting it play out and linger for a decade and eventually doing it anyway because it was obviously the right move. But, again, I think this was what's going on with this defensive line. Like, why? Why wouldn't you go after anybody that would be a more value at nose tackle than Keanu Benton? As Mike Felias says, it was a good year for him this year. But leading up to this year, Mike, there was a lot of talk, especially here on the show, about him just not living up to what you needed him to do, lining up across from center.
Yeah, because he's more of the I'm going to beat you with my quickness and my technique instead of beating you with sheer power the way Casey Hampton was. And you saw that he had some really good games where his quickness and his technique were forcing them to use two guys on him, which is what you kind of want right there. But that's only sustainable for so long. But, like a lot of people are saying on the board, we don't run 3-4 a whole hell of a lot. So
right.
it's not a traditional 3-4. You really can't plug in someone like a Casey Hampton there because most of those guys are just two down guys. They're not going to, the way the league has gone where it's heavy passing, those guys really aren't your best pass rushers. So you got to have someone who's kind of like a hybrid nose tackle, and that's someone like a Keanu Benton who can get to the pass rusher, but also play the run a little bit better than a pure run stuffer would play against the pass. And it's kind of finding.
And those are definitely two areas on the defense that I think that there was certainly room for improvement because getting to the quarterback wasn't happening all that much for our defense throughout the course of the season, and then getting killed by the run game many times throughout the course of a season. Those would kind of be indicators that this guy isn't that great at what he's doing. But again, he did have a season better this year than he's had in the past.
What I think will help too is the continued development of Derek Harmon, because we saw when he was in the lineup,
Oh yeah,
the
absolutely.
run defense was giving up like 20 to 30 yards less per game every game he was in there. So if you get him in there, and then you get the continued development of YA Black, and then you have Benton in there. If you want to run those three at the same time, you're going to have to double team probably one or both of those end guys, and then that frees up Keanu Benton to do his thing. So you get more talent in there, and then what his skill set
We
can
have the
do
highest paid
can be
defense in the
massive.
league. What else? What else are the Steelers realistically going to do? I mean, these are great ideas, but obviously you have a Watt and you have this and you have that, and things still went
Yeah.
out. We still give up 250 yards running right up the gut, at home against the team this season. So again, I'm just. How long can you let some of these players hang on? And at the end of the day, some of them, you might want to start looking younger. But let's do stick on the board here. Great comment, guys. Very, very interesting, because that middle of the defensive line certainly has been a problem, and it, as Mike said, it certainly improved after Derek Harmon was in there, and as Derek Harmon became healthy again, those numbers certainly have shrunk by the running game of the offense. So let's do stick on the board here, Mike, for a few more minutes. We go right here. Somber was last. There we go. Tortilla, I hope Graham will put Benton at defensive end. Yinzer Joe says Benton did play better, but he was inconsistent a lot. He had a lot of good games, then disappeared. I couldn't agree more. That's yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Cam Hayward.
No, we haven't even started talking about him. Like we're literally just we're on the first guy.
Oh, I heard played well and disappeared. And my mind immediately went, "Oh, we're talking about Cam Hayward now."
Somber says Shuck was already what he is. I don't give Tolzien credit for that, but he was terrible at first. And you know what? The developing, I think, is the key. Did he develop into a better quarterback? Was he more successful at the beginning of the year than he was? Somebody say that's a natural thing, but there's a lot of people that go to the NFL that don't make that natural move, and they don't get better. And they were something in college. So I think the developmental part is what is what's being talked about with Shuck. That team ended up winning games at the end of the season. Again, a pretty good improvement for the New Orleans Saints from the beginning of the year to the end. And again, Mike, playing in that NFC South, I think that has to be intriguing if you are any kind of coach, because it's just not as competitive, dominant, strong as some of these other divisions are. But at the end of the day, we'll continue to monitor Shuck, see what he does. Mike, I know that you didn't like him. I know that Mark Malone, he did like him on the board. But again, we'll still see. We'll see what he continues to do, if he continues to improve, or what Scott Tolzien does or doesn't do, Mike. But it's not going to be here with us.
No, and Shuck, he's that guy. He has to get the ball out of his hand quick, because the minute he's under pressure, he starts running around and throwing the ball over him.
Right. That wasn't
so bad under pressure.
That wasn't good. He needed to grow. He needed to improve, and again, being developed is part of the job. But Mike Felias says Benton does need to be more consistent. Absolutely, as does the whole defensive line. And again, I think Derek Harmon, Mike, he really held his own. But as far as Cam at his age, who's been playing out of his mind the past year and a half, I'm not going to deny it. Cam certainly played better in the past year and a half than he did in the previous 2 to 3 years. I thought that he was done. He's playing well enough. And again, Mike, they're saying that he's one of the best defensive tackles in the league, which I don't see. But at the end of the day, consistency is what you need, because we've gone through several weeks in a row where we're just not getting any pressure on quarterbacks, none whatsoever. So, that has to improve. It has to improve. You're leaving your defensive backs out to dry if that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to get pressure on a quarterback at some point. There was some games, Mike, we got none all game long.
Yeah, and you're counting on Highsmith, Herbig, Watt, Hayward to provide that pressure, and they're not providing that pressure. You can only cover these receivers for so long before someone gets open. And like Cam Hayward, like that game against the Ravens, the best game I've ever saw Cam Hayward play.
Where he was chasing Derrick Henry down the sideline and keeping up with him.
Yeah, when he took that game over on the line, he was playing out of his mind, and I've never seen him play better. And then the following week, I never seen him play just as bad.
Yeah,
like that inconsistency with these guys on the D line, it's just killing me because, one game you're playing out of your mind, and then you're allowing your linebackers behind you to flow to the ball and just wreak havoc. And then the next, you're not doing diddly poo, and then they're getting beat up by on guards. And then next thing you know, the secondary is getting open, running lanes are opening. It's more consistent play out of the front is what we need.
Mike Fleiss. How about Sam Darnold? Hell, I agree. I love Sam Darnold. I loved him before he even went to Minnesota and had back-to-back 14-win seasons. The only quarterback other than Tom Brady to ever do it. I was always a Sam Darnold fan. I am certainly on record here for years saying how much I liked him again previous to his success again in the past 2 seasons. I'm hoping that Sam does win a big one against New England this weekend. Skeet Steelers. What's up? Great to see you back, Skeet. It's great to see you on a terrible board. He says Benton played well. We just got great defensive line. Nice to see you, man. Hope all is well for you. Sommer says this. I don't think Graham or McCarthy like playing people out of position, so that's promising. I'm not too sure. Those are things that I still have to learn. Again, I'm not real familiar with Graham's defense. All I know is the Raiders were terrible. That's the topical information that you would have if you look at, of course, defensive coordinator Graham. They finished last in the league. So, again, I think he's going to have to do some earning as far as Steeler fans go to, show that he can get the job done. Say what you want. They finished last. Whatever his defense did, it doesn't matter. You get the number 1 pick. You didn't do well. So, again, I'm going to learn a lot about Coach Graham. Let's see. Yinzer Joe, I thought for sure Tater would be all over the tolls. I did too. When I was reading it and I was writing it down in my notes, I thought, you know what? Tater's going to be here today. We're going to hear it. We're going to get shit. We're going to be piss pukers and everything else. But so far, no Tater. No Tater. Let's go right here to M Sparks. What's up, dude? Always great seeing M Sparks. He says, what's good, Yins? Pittsburgh Steelers for life. That's right, baby. Always great seeing you, my man. Hope all is well for you. Mark Malone says, we were fucking warm yesterday. Mark Malone, M Sparks says, salute Nat Ryan. What's up, dude? Vanilla Ice, Vanilla Thunder also as well. Always great seeing M Sparks on the terrible board. Hope all is well, sir. Somber says 69 degrees and sunny in SoCal, high of 72. We made it into the 20s. That was our high. We got up to the 20s. 20, low 20s it was. But it's going back down against snow at the end of the week, I do believe. Mark Malone says, dude, it's been that way since Haley left. Excuse me. Follows it up by saying this is more than 7 years of tribulation. You're saying this is worse than the 7 years of tribulation, the 10 years of no playoffs. Mark Malone says Father Maxwell has performed exorcism. Thank God. Tortilla says, I bet if Rooney bought the elliptical, we'd win more games. M Spark says we need this change 15 years ago. Facts. It's certainly past its time. Mike Fly says Spygate, Deflategate. Hey, come on. New England with all their gates. I think we're going to get into this Hall of Fame talk here, as this is kind of where we're getting. And I've seen some interesting conversations here. Mike Fly says, who knows what else? Exactly. Those are the ones that got caught. And remember, they were in 1 million Super Bowls in that period of time. And they only got caught during 2 of them. Who knows? And I think that was maybe part of the reason why these guys didn't get the nod in their first attempt. But we'll certainly see moving forward how that plays out. M Sparks says cheaters never win. Let's go to right here. Cody, what's up? Cody says this. I think that a year ago we would play better at the end of a game. Last year we played better at the beginning and then lost them at the end. I would just like to see a full game from this team. And like, there's not been too many times in my life that I can remember Steelers playing complete games, even when we're good and we're making runs. They always have a thing. There's always some kind of thing about them. Like either their fourth quarter scoring isn't good. They're 11-5. They're 11-6. They're winning they're winning the division, but they haven't been able to stop the scoring in the fourth or whatever. Mike, how likely is it that we can start to see some complete games? Now, again, this is providing that the coaching is going to come in and change everything in that sense, because, again, we went so long we couldn't score a first quarter point. And then, again, you could look at what Cody's saying, and it holds true over time. So Again, Mike, what's the chances that improves? Do we start seeing more complete games by the Pittsburgh Steelers as these changes happen? And I think you kind of have to. If you don't, you still have problems.
Yeah, we better hope it's immediate because, like you said, if we don't, it's the same shit, different day. Type of situation happening here. So I hope it happens immediately. You Otherwise, we're in for a long season. But to
We've been
expect
through quite a few of them, though. So, I mean,
yeah,
again,
but
I welcome the changes. I really do, because we went through a lot of long seasons recently, and it's
yeah.
just
Hey, as long as they keep winning, baby, that's all I give a fuck about. Keep winning, racking up wins, and then give yourself a shot in the playoffs. But I'm hoping by usually by week 4, you kind of figure out what kind of team you have, and I think by week 4 we'll know if we're going to see how many complete games we're going to see.
that really does sound like crickets. I heard it while you were
I'm sorry,
talking.
Mike. Do you want my computer to die mid-show?
Did I say that I complain? I
Yes,
just
you're
said
all
I just said
complaining.
I
I
hear
will unplug
crickets.
it. I will unplug it.
I just said I hear crickets.
No. I'm
Tortilla
sorry,
Tortilla
boys.
says what?
I'm muting my mic.
Somber says, not gonna lie, I couldn't care less anything to do with the Patriots. But you know what? It's just the fact that if they knocked us out of the AFC Championship game 3 times, how many, and they were caught cheating 2 of the times, and those wasn't even against us. That was against the Rams, and I forget who Deflategate was.
Yeah, Deflategate was the Colts, and the Rams was before the fucking Super Bowl.
So that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't care about them either, but I don't want to see them get any kind of special accolades, because again, how they got there is certainly questionable. And until they address that stuff, and I don't want to see this team get any free passes. Cody says this Big Ben had 3 games over 500. He did. Yes, he did in a season. I remember 2 exactly. I think one was against the Colts and one was against an Seattle, maybe. I don't remember the third one that year, but I definitely remember the year you're talking about. Bingo, what's up, dude? Bingo Winchester says, what bothers me most about Pete Rose isn't the betting, it's that he never bet on his own team to lose, only ever bet on himself and his team to win. Doesn't seem all that terrible to me. Listen, at the end of the day, I think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. I think what he did on the baseball field, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He was the best hitter ever. Nobody hit better than him. How does that not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? But at the end of the day, there's a certain a morality, or as Mike was saying, certain clause that they continue to try to keep a certain prestigiousness to their Hall of Fame. I don't know if keeping the guy that had the most hits out is the answer, but again, at the end of the day, I do think that there needs to be things in place. So again, there's a certain prestigiousness to a Hall of Fame that you got to kind of be the whole package at the end of the day. But I find it very difficult to see how the guy that was involved with this 40 years ago, for one, maybe let 50 years go by, or let a period of time go by. But again, not letting these guys in right off the cut, right in this first time that they're eligible, I'm for it. And again, at the end of the day, I'm not for Pete Rose still being out at this time. I think maybe after a long period of time, maybe then let him in something. I don't know. But again, you can't have more hits than anybody that ever played the game and not be in the Hall of Fame in some capacity. That's crazy. That's crazy.
You put him in as a player and you bar him as a manager.
Right. That's all.
It was two separate, like, hell of a player. He's in here, put it on this plaque. Hey, he's barred from being eligible as a manager because he bet on the team, which is against the rules. Over and done with. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, because it's 2 different things. It's not like he was up for a manager being in the Hall of Fame as a manager. He's up for a Hall of Fame as a player. And what he did as a player did not do anything to affect the integrity of the game. Yes, what he did as a manager, you could say, but he did bet on his own team. You're going to want to play. You want your guys to play better, and you're going to manage better when you put money onto your team to win. So, yeah, he should have been in a long time ago.
I think that, at the end of the day, he should be in the Hall of Fame. He deserves it as far as a player. And as Mike says, he's not going to the Hall of Fame as a coach. I don't think he was even that great of a coach, to be honest with you. But as a player, he was the best. How do you keep that out of the Hall of Fame? I'll never be able to fully accept that, guys. Let's move on the board. Mark Malone says, LOL, they literally couldn't be more different. Kenneth, what's up, dude? Always get great seeing Kenneth Jones on the terrible board. My man, always great seeing you. Hope things are going well for you. And the winter is starting to become a little bit more bearable for you as we do move along here. We are in February, of course. Cody says, if you worked at Wendy's in my town, my hometown, I'd go all there the time, and I go there all the time, and I bet you hook people up. You know what? I ate a lot of the food when I worked at Wendy's. I remember I would walk by the chicken nuggets like 15 times, and probably more. I mean, you're constantly going back and forth. But I would grab chicken nuggets all night. I'd snatch it up and swing over here and dip it into mayonnaise, and I'd hurry up and throw it in my mouth real quick before my managers would see. I would kill nuggets on a shift. Like I don't know even how they were making money at that point. But back in the day, in the late '90s, I was killing the nuggets, Mike, like your lookalike does in the commercials. Give me your nuggies. Give me them chicken nuggies. Can't say Mike doesn't look like Andy Reid. There he is. Let me scoot up here to Mark Malone. Mark Malone says Tomlin's defense equals highest paid and worst nearly performing. There's literally never been a coach in the history of the NFL that has done less with more. Joe follows it up by saying, I feel like Pete Rose should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame just based on his stats. Betting is keeping him out, but we do now do that as a norm now. Again, at the end of the day, his hits say that he should be in there. Easy. Nobody has more hits than him. Unless I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know who some of these more recent guys are, but you get the point. Let me scoot up here. Kenneth says this defensive lapses were due to stubborn mindsets that kept people playing out of position, like Benton as a new. Absolutely. And again, even last year when they were talking about moving TJ around, giving different looks and positions for him to come from, they were very minimal at doing that. It was like they did it once or twice. They didn't work, and they was like, all right, it's not going to work. Let's do what we do always. And they went back into the same trap, and that was really how that felt as well. Kenneth was TJ as well. I would have liked to see him. Again, where's Micah Parsons when you're playing Green Bay? Where is he? Is he on the end? Is he on this end? Is he in the middle? Is he stacked behind another player? Same with Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett moves around. TJ Watt's really come just like the Steelers in its entirety, Mike. I really feel that TJ Watt became predictable. And if you become predictable as our offense did, as our defense did, in a league that's always changing, you're not going to keep up, Mike. And these are the kind of things that I talk about when people say, when I'm trying to talk about these particular coaches. So again, I hope that Mike McCarthy continues to move forward for the sake of this team moving forward, Mike. This is why I wanted a younger person. But again, this is what we have. This is where we are. Mike, according to Kenneth's comments, anything on that? Defensive lapses were due to stubborn mindsets that keep people playing out of position, like Benton at nose tackle.
I don't know. When I watch other guys that are in the right position not being able to beat the man across from them.
I mean, that's part of the game. I mean, you
either do or you don't. When that consistently happens, like it's coaching and the players too. So
coaches got to put you in the right places to make the best positions to make the best plays. You know what I mean? They that's their job. They're just to scheme and strategize to make sure you are where you need to be to make the best of what it is that your position requires.
Well, but when I'm watching the best in the world get beat by a rookie right tackle, ain't no scheme fixing that. Yes, there is scheme.
Yeah, don't have them run from the same exact spot 99% of the games. Of course, Mike, if you mix them up, now I have to make adjustments on offense. If they don't move TJ Watt around, the adjustments are minor. And okay, bring an extra guy over. Let's just chip him. Move him, like I said, Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett, they're hard to find. They're on the line, they're moving around, they're at the end, they're here, they're there. You have to quickly identify them, get somebody in the, you have to adjust your blocking. TJ, I can tell you where he's going to be 99% of the time. I could point it right on the screen right before the huddle breaks, and I could show you where he's going to be. How is that not predictable, and how can that not be improved by moving him around a little bit?
They can move him around, but is he still going to be able to beat the guy across from him? Consistent, and he hasn't been able to do that the past couple of years. So,
well, I mean, again, if you are predictable, you become easier to defend. And again, we haven't seen him on the other side. We haven't seen him in the middle. And maybe it's him. Maybe he doesn't want to. And he makes a lot of money to not be getting the results for the money that we're paying him. I say at this point, do anything. Drop him into coverage, put him in the middle of the defensive line, move him to the other side of the defensive line. He makes too much money to stay that predictable and that ineffective, is my point. The coaching staff could put together a better game plan for him, in my opinion. Maybe on the other side, maybe in the middle, he could be more effective. We don't know. Again, they didn't give him enough opportunity to really take a look at that. Mark Excuse me. Mark Malone says scoring points is a good thing in today's NFL. It sure is. You definitely want to do that. M. Spark says, damn right, Ryan. Let's go. Penn's kicking ass due to a coaching upgrade. Hint, hint. And you know what? All three of our teams right here in Pittsburgh got new coaches. So let's see if we could get some different results here in Pittsburgh. Yinzer Joe says, same coach, just offensive minded. We have the same team members, just a different staff. I don't see much change. Also, Yinzer Joe says, I see the rest of the division getting better and us having a losing record. That's what they told us last year, though. I mean, we came in with basically shit. You think about it. We waited till the last minute to even know what our quarterback was. We lost one half of our team from the year before. Literally 11 of 22 players. We still finished with the same record. So, again, I think that we're in a position where we could stay competitive with the division. I don't see the division necessarily running away without us. But, again, I think we land on our feet. That's just my personal opinion. Somber says, you. Hey, you is what I'm calling him. Of course, the coach. Let's see. I do want to say welcome to Arthur. Welcome to the terrible board. Arthur Treadwell, welcome to the show. Glad to have you. Mike McCarthy has 3 franchise quarterbacks. That's what you ain't mentioned. Mike Tomlin, one with sorry quarterbacks. Did he? I mean, the Super Bowls were Ben in his prime. Point taken. Point taken. I understand what you're trying to say, but at the end of the day, McCarthy groomed some pretty damn good ones. When Coach Tease had already won a Super Bowl prior to the 2 Super Bowls he went to. Sorry, 2, not 3. Coach T. Let me do scoot forward, Doug. But dude, thank you for your comment, Arthur. Mark Malone says won't have to have an elite quarterback if we have a non-retarded head coach. Aaron J. There he is. Here we go. Steelers with the Rockets. One of my favorite messages every day. It's like a passing of the torch, Mike. I can't move on until I see those Rockets.
No, you cannot.
Aaron says this. He says we run a 2-4. Also, Somber says I mocked Corleone last night at 53. What's back, Ty? What's good, Ty? Great seeing you back, man. Somber said he's a fire hydrant. Low man wins. Vegas. Aaron Jade, step into it. He's a beast. We're talking about, we're talking about Benton right now on that defensive line, if I'm not mistaken. Step into it. He was a beast. Mark Malone said Aaron Jade, it's a 4-2-5. Mark Malone, our outside linebackers are defensive ends. Mark Malone, they don't drop out. Out nose tackle doesn't 2-gap. Our nose tackle doesn't 2-gap. Corey Beavers, don't drink that, says, do you think Tolzien turned us down because of McCarthy? I mean, it's possible. I mean, there's no report on why he turned us down. I mean, you could speculate that he kind of has a thing going with his quarterback in New Orleans. And also, Corey, at the end of the day, Mike McCarthy came out very early and made the statement that he will be calling plays.
Yeah.
He will be calling the plays. And again, you're going somewhere as an offensive coordinator and you find out that the head coach is going to be calling the plays. That might be a little offsetting. Maybe that has something to do with it. But again, we don't have confirmation on what the reasoning was. But we just do know that Tolzien will not be the offensive coordinator here in Pittsburgh. Mark Malone says when we line up like a 3-4, it's like a 5-2. It's a 5-2 front. Vegas says make a change. Aaron Jade says yeah, it stinks. Mark, just my opinion. Scoot up to Mark Malone. Nobody plays 3-4 like the 90s anymore. Aaron Jade, you get smoked if you tried. Somber says Graham runs everything defense in the book. I'm sure he'll figure it out. I hope you're right. I hope an indication is not the fact that they became 32nd place in the league last year. That's my only concern, Mike. Again, you could talk about how great things are and how good the guy is and his accomplishments, but at the end of the day, you finished 32nd in the league. There's no more places you could finish. That's it. That's my concern with Patrick Graham, Mike. Am I overthinking this Patrick Graham thing with again finishing 32nd in the league out of 32? We could blame it on this person, we could blame it on that person, but at the end of the day, that was half of the team, the defense, and they finished less behind everybody. Nobody finished lower, Mike.
When you have some shitty ass players and one of the lowest paid defenses, but like I said, look into his advanced analytics on defense that can give you a measure of how well they're performing, and especially bang for the buck. I think it's the right hire with him. Is that now he's going to have more resources here, better players, and being able to move them around differently and do different things, I expect his defense to be better than what we had last year.
Mike, do you see an improvement by TJ Watt being that he, again, I mean, you named a lack of players. I think they have a handful of nice players in Las Vegas that just weren't getting it done. Max Crosby. Now, what he was able to see with Coach Graham coaching Max Crosby on defense, do you see that being an opportunity to maybe have improved play from TJ Watt? Because, I guess you could call him a similar type player, a pass rusher, if you will. Mike, does this help the play and results and production of TJ Watt with the new coach? Do you think it has the same effect, or there will be no effect at all, and it's still going to be TJ doing what it is TJ has done pretty consistently through his life, and it not getting better in that sense? Do you see Patrick Graham moving TJ around? Do you see them giving different looks to not know where TJ is, to maybe have you on your heels a little bit? Or do you think it's still going to be 99% of the time lining up in that same exact spot? Again, I can take my pen and point on the TV and I can show you where he's going to line up every time. Again, you become predictable, you become easier to handle. Does that change at all under the new defensive coordinator, Mike?
I don't know. This is going to show you how much power TJ Watt and his contract have over the team and over the coaching staff to be like, hey, I'm going to line up here, and I'm only going to line up here, and that's what we're going to see. I hope he has enough humility to go, you know what we've been doing hasn't been working. The team's changing, the front office is changing.
That's what I'm saying. Seniority is bullshit. If it's not the betterment of the team, I don't want a guy on my team that's going to be like that. That's it's retarded. It's you're letting money dictate the way your team. But again, you're right. It's a thing. It's it's people that have seniority and people that are powerful and been in the league a lot longer than everybody else. They get the call sometime, Mike. And again, I hope things get better on the defense, because if they don't let the defensive coordinator make the defense better, then what the hell's the point? What's the point? Let them go put their fingers in the dirt and come up with little plans every play and try to see if it works. Again, they have to fix these problems on defense, Mike. They have to. Way too much money being spent to get the results that we had. And again, 250-yard running game in your home stadium, down your throats, play after play after play after play. That's just one indicator of how bad the defense played. Let me ask you this. Were you satisfied or dissatisfied with the defense more last year?
Oh, extremely dissatisfied. Extremely dissatisfied. And especially, like I said, the performance of Watt, Hayward, Highsmith, Slay, a lot of those big money guys, Patrick Queen being inconsistent, I was very disappointed with them. I expected more. And like when your best player more or less on defense was Derek Harmon, that to me that's concerning. To where he was like the big bright spot. Well, outside of Joey Porter Jr. developing into looking like a true number one. Outside of those two, it's kind of very disappointing for your starters.
All right, man. Let's move on the board here. It's going to be interesting. I'm very interested to see what goes down with this defense, Mike. Again, you're paying the money that you're paying out. You bring in a different defensive coordinator. In theory, things should get better, but there's nothing etched in stone. We will see. We'll follow it all. Let's move to Mark Malone. No, Mark Malone was right there. Aaron Jade, we get smoked now. I laugh my ass off, but I do understand it's the old way. Mark Malone says that was Tomlin. Mark Malone, we won't be getting smoked now. I hope you're right. Aaron Jade says we need Rod Woodson and Lake so we could run the old defense. LOL. Somber says he was already decent for people who watched him in college football. Somber says he just had to get comfortable with his players. Somber says like half of last year's quarterback class. Jollymon says this. Hey, funny story about Casey Hampton. He used to help me chase my dog. He used to help me chase my dog. My dog's name was Raven. Once I says, can't believe I'm calling for Ravens. That is a good story.
Big Snacks running through a neighborhood looking for a dog.
Yeah, I know. On the physically unable to perform list. Remember, he started every year in prison on the PUP. Mark Malone says, I like what Shuck and Howard last year. I like Shuck and Howard last year. Mark Malone followed up by saying, I do like Beck and Robertson this year. Again, Mark is saying, I think we got to draft one of those guys to compete for that position. Somber says, Skeeter. Laugh my ass off. Mark Malone, why are the Raiders always so bad, but always beat us? Ain't that the truth? It's almost impossible for us to beat the Raiders out west, it seems. Tyrone says, yeah, been too long. We need some complete games during the course of a season would be nice, where you could say, oh, man, that was the best game we played all year. Even when we had those last year, it wasn't they weren't fantastic games. They certainly weren't offensive outputs, anything like this. Let's scoot up here to another Mark. Mark says this, it doesn't bother me. I just thought there were crickets outside here. I was like, what the F? It's daylight outside. Now that's just Mike's hamster wheel in the background, Derpy running on it. That's where he gets his practice. That's where he gets his exercise. Aaron Jade says, Bettison Ward said they came to the line of scrimmage and the Pats defense were calling our plays out in our language on some interview about a year ago. And that's not the only story. There's teams around the league.
The game.
Mike, there's teams around the league that that are very consistent with that, with those accusations.
Yep. And after that game, too, there were guys in the locker room going, like, they were literally calling the play as, we got set and they called it out perfectly on offense and defense. They knew what was coming because they were filming shit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tortilla says, free bill. Miss Pittsburgh, she says, I'm at Pete Rose on an airplane. Oh, I met Pete Rose on an airplane. He signed $1 for me, and I still got the dollar retired as a flight attendant. Nice. That's awesome. And the thing is, I mean, Pete seemed like an awesome guy. And if you would have taken away that betting on his his team when he was a coach, people would love Pete Rose. They're just it's always thrown in your face. You can't say Pete Rose without hearing gambling. If he would have, after his career would have finished up as far as a player, and none of that would have happened, Mike, I think he's easily one of the most celebrated and decorated players in Major League Baseball history.
Exactly, yeah, and as he should have been.
I couldn't agree more.
He was a beast of a player.
He truly was. Somber Nuggets and mayo is diabolical.
Disgusting.
I'd be full. I remember just leaving work in the middle of the night because I worked sometimes in the evenings as well. And that was when you got to really jack the nuggets. And I remember just being full. I was full. I couldn't go home and eat anymore. It was insane. But yeah, no. Also, Miss Pittsburgh says, I met Pittsburgh. Okay, gotcha. She revised it. She says, I met Pete Rose when I was a flight attendant. Now I'm retired, but he signed $1 for me and I still have the dollar. Gotcha. Jollymon says Baseball Hall of Fame is a joke. 227 hitters, but Pete Rose is not in. I couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Jade says, I believe all you have to do is blitz up the middle or stack his side and blitz from there. That would free him up, or anything. They just continued to do what didn't work, and that was part of the problem for me as well. It just wasn't working. Game after game, play after play, series after series. Oh, there's TJ lined up. He might just be outside a little bit further, but that literally from that same spot all game. Somber says time will tell with TJ. Don't drink that. Corey says if he wanted to be the offensive coordinator, that's the job he should have applied for. We needed competence. I agree. Aaron says this step into it. That was a reference for Tuitt. Gotcha on that.
Tuitt.
It's Tuitt and Vince Williams. Remember that short-lived team, Mike?
Vince Williams?
Vince Williams was a linebacker. Stephon Tuitt was on the line.
Oh, Hargraves came here.
Remember that team? Remember that defense? That was a nice little D.
Nice little D until they ran into Todd Gurley. Or whoever it was ran over us from Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But no, I did like that D line. That sucked that year because we had to choose between Hargraves and Tuitt. We chose Tuitt, and then what unfortunate business happened with his brother being murdered, and him just walking away from football. I was like, damn, like what could have been if it it's kind of morbid to say sign the other guy,
Absolutely. Joe Hayden. Joe Hayden refers to the defense, or I'm sorry, to the offense, Mike. Joe Hayden, of course, on the Debo. In Joe's show, he refers to the offense as junior varsity. He wants Mike McCarthy to come along and give him some fire in this offense. He says he doesn't want to. He wants to see the offense be less JV. Again, why is this even why is this even a comment? Who wants their team to be JV? Again, how could you sit by after watching Arthur Smith and be happy with what was going on with that the offense? Something needs to happen, Mike. This offense needs to get better. You can't go 16 of your first 17 games of a season scoring points in the first quarter just once. I mean, or once out of the first 17 games, Mike. It was unbelievable. Things do need to happen on this offense. And again, it's very JV. It's very predictable. And the proof was in the pudding. Watch the tape. And to a certain point, remember when they tried to get away with just running dump offs for the entire game, and we were getting our asses kicked against Green Bay and the Chargers and everybody else? And then they started to change things up and throw the ball down the field. Why did it take that long? I mean, these are just smart guys. This is guys that coach in the NFL. This is an NFL quarterback who's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Why did it take so long, Mike, to even make that adjustment? That's what I'm saying. It just everything took so damn long. This league is moving, man. It's moving. And if something ain't working, you have to figure out what works.
A quarterback not wanting to potentially get hit, being afraid to stick his foot in the dirt and rip it down the field on some plays because he wouldn't let the play develop. Part of it, it could be scheme, could be, trying to, I don't know what it was, but there could have been a lot of different issues. But you know what? We got a whole new offensive coaching staff coming in, so hopefully, we'll see something different.
I agree. I mean, that was the case sometime. It wasn't all the time. I think that Aaron Rodgers was up for a lot of times when he played, and I think that sometimes he got hit. But other times you could tell there was days that he didn't want to get hit. I'm not going to deny that at all.
Just the look on his face, definitely in that Seattle game, and that he had that look in his eyes like he'd rather be anywhere but on a football field.
I remember you pointing that out. I remember you making that comment for sure.
It was like even before the first play was done, before kickoff, I saw the look in his eyes like he doesn't want to be there. He'd rather be anywhere else but at Heinz Field right now.
I recalled you saying that for sure. Mark Malone says it was the same with Schvinkter, Canada, Smith. I agree. I agree. It was a Tomlin type offense. TC, what's up? Always great seeing TC on the terrible board. Always great seeing you, my man. My neighbor from Aliquippa, TC. I hope all is going well for you. Also, Mark Malone says this didn't matter who the quarterback or O coordinator was. And TC says we have to remember Aaron never really had time unless he rolled out. That's a good point, too. The offensive line certainly didn't do the greatest job. They were young. They were molding. I think they did better than they probably should have, the offensive line, but still a lot of room for improvement, Mike, as the running game went well for the most part. It wasn't like our guys were getting stuck in the backfield at the beginning of handoffs and things like to go down in Las Vegas for that poor Genty. I mean, that poor guy was getting hit in the backfield. He was even getting the ball handed to him. So
he's getting hit. Yeah, you're the depth of contact for Genty was like -5 yards before the first contact.
A couple things before, I guess, because we are rounding third base here, Mike. A couple things that I want to bring up here quickly is this. There's 9. They're adding nine international games to the NFL schedule this coming season in 2026, Mike. 9. 3 of them are going to be in London. One of them is going to be in Madrid, Spain. One in Melbourne, Australia. Another one in Mexico City, Munich, Germany, getting an NFL game. Paris, France, and Rio, Brazil, Mike. Those are 9 international games this year for the NFL. It doesn't look like the Steelers are getting any this year, but it doesn't mean they're not going to in the future. But those are, again, 9 in new cities, Mike. Paris, France, Munich, Germany. I mean, these cities haven't seen NFL since the NFL Europe days, right?
No, Well, what did I see online the other day? It's like, hey, France, thanks for the Statue of Liberty. We're going to pay you back. Here's the New Orleans Saints versus the Cleveland Browns. You're welcome.
There you go. There you go. Maybe they'll tear the face off of them like we did off the Statue of Liberty and make it look more French. Oui. Also, Mike, Pittsburgh is the best city in the country for football fans, according to Wallet Hub. Mike, I agree. I agree 100%. My advice is this. Steeler fans, Steeler Nation, continue to be unapologetically awesome, because at the end of the day, who cares what anybody else thinks? Enjoy your team the way you want to enjoy your team. Again, I think the Pittsburgh fans are some of the most knowledgeable in pro sports. I truly do, because they have different opinions and some people think are toxic just because it doesn't line up with what they think. Screw that. I think Steeler Nation is one of the most easily most passionate and best football fan bases in pro sports easily. And Wallet Hub agrees with me, Mike. Pittsburgh is the best city in the country for football fans.
I had a blast hanging out with the Yinzer fans down at that tailgate. So I agree.
Well, it couldn't have went any better. We had a great time hanging out with everybody. Also, TC says if Aaron had time, he would pick yeah, you're right. Probably. If Aaron would have had more time back there, Mike, I think he could have certainly did a better, more serviceable job. But again, we didn't really have the greatest targets either. So again, things have to improve. No two ways about it. We let it fall pretty far. And again, we played without a second receiver for 2 years. As for starters, come on. And also, finally, up here at the top, Sombers, he says this. He did make a couple of insane tight window throws last season. He also sacked himself. He did.
Yeah, that was the Aaron. That was latter day Aaron Rodgers experience.
We could still have Kenny Pickett throwing the ball at the ground. I mean,
don't get me wrong. I agree. I was okay with his play last year because man, he did make some great throws, but he made some bad throws, some quick decisions and checking down and stuff like that. But I just don't want him back. We had the experience. Let's see
move
if we
forward.
have quarterback future on our staff or via free agency or in the
Mike, do you feel like if we bring Aaron Rodgers back, it'll be like we're dragging our feet and we could be doing other things to move forward? That's how I feel. It really feels to me. And anytime I see anybody getting really excited about Aaron Rodgers, I'm thinking, well, you're not really improving. You're, again, just hoping this guy could get you some wins to keep you in the game. I just don't think that this is where it should be at this point. This is a perfect point to transition, Mike, to make this team, to make the change that needs to be changed. So, again, I think Aaron Rodgers coming back is slowing the game down for us. It's dragging the feet, so to speak. And I don't want to see it again. It was what it was. It was exciting. All right, the dude scored some points for us, and I mean, he was moderately interesting, and but at the end of the day, I'm ready to move forward. And I think that the first step of moving forward with this team is not having him back on the football team. Like, let's get younger. Let's get younger already. Let these guys develop. Let these guys grow instead of having them on the sideline for a whole other year and letting the 43-year-old guy come in and do his thing. And it just doesn't make much sense to me. Again, I really think this is a perfect opportunity for this team to make those transactions that it needs to make, Mike, those transitions, I'm sorry. And if that does happen, I think you're going to start seeing a different football team. And I think the further you get away from what we're doing, the more you're going to see it be different than what's been going on. Because obviously you do it one way, it worked. You got these results. If you continue to do it that way, you're going to still get those results. Why wouldn't you want to change at this point? Why wouldn't you want to improve? The big risk is, what if things get worse? Well, guess what? That's life.
You're gonna get a better draft.
That's the ebbs and the flows of the NFL. It's not always, again, it's freakish that we didn't even drop below 500 for that many years. So, again, at the end of the day, to have us finish under 500 wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It just kind of makes you like 31 other teams.
Yeah. I think what, I've been saying this, I'll probably say it up until the draft too. Like, all the quarterbacks that went back into college that didn't perform well, and all the quarterbacks that are coming out into the draft that didn't perform well, kind of put a little threw a wrench in the Steelers' plan. This felt like the draft where they're going to trade up and get their quarterback, because they've been building the O line, the D line, getting some guys here at different spots, get your quarterback and a wide receiver in this draft in 1-2, let them grow together. And now it's looking like, no, we're going to have to get a quarterback elsewhere, or hope Will Howard can be the guy. It just felt like this was the year they were going to trade up no matter where they finished. All of the Chiefs getting Mahomes, trading up from mid-20s to the 10s to get their guy. That's what it felt like this year, and then all the quarterbacks shit the bed.
Mike, let's say Aaron Rodgers returns. Who suffers the most? Is it Roman Wilson? Is it Pat Freiermuth? Who suffers the most if Aaron Rodgers comes back?
Freiermuth, because he just signed a big contract and he expected to be a focal part of the offense, and Aaron didn't target him that much.
I know.
He only targeted him when the game was out of hand. And finally we go to him.
You know, and the thing that was terrible was Pat dropped the pass early in the season, and that's all you heard was, Pat Freiermuth drops passes. As a matter of fact, Pat's one of the more sure-handed tight ends in the league. So again, I don't know what that was all about. And again, Roman Wilson totally being nixed from the offense was a head scratcher especially when you have zero receivers. Your number one is out, and your other guy is a guy that just joined the team 2 days ago with MVS, of course. So a lot of head scratching decisions. So things should be different this year, hopefully for the better. Let's jump into some more comments here, Mike. I do see Walter Grundon. I do want to say welcome to Walter on the Terrible Board. Welcome, Walter. Welcome to the show. He says we need to get a free agent or a late round draft, and Mason fight for the spot. Also, Walter follows it up by saying get a QB next draft if need be. Somber says, I agree with next year. Mark Malone, need 3 wide receivers, a left guard, and a quarterback. I think he's talking about in the draft. Aaron Jade, he says, I know we need a wide receiver in the worst way, but I believe that we need to draft an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, or a wide receiver in the first round. And after that, focus on the DBs and linebackers through the draft or free agency. Let's see, and build the... there's a second part to that. Build the trenches. Gotcha. Somber says, or rock with Will. You know what? I want to see Will. I want to see Will because here's the thing, Mike. They're really going to focus on Will. Mm-hmm. It's really clear to me that Mike McCarthy is excited, and I would think that they would like to get to work with Will Howard and just everything that I'm seeing. Why wouldn't you at this point? Who knows? He could come on and do something really good, and he could be the guy. We will never know because, again, he didn't have one official snap last year, Mike. Right. Not one.
Yeah. Roll with him. Just roll with him. So, I'm tired of hearing about Will Howard, and the offseason just started. So just run with him.
It's like the next logical step again, unless you make one of these other moves. But who's out there, as we said yesterday, in free agency? Nobody's out there that I would think maybe Malik Willis. But Mike, a lot of these other names are guys that are pretty much exactly what you expect them to be. Danny Dimes, of course, being one of the bigger names in free agency. Is that who you want leading the Steelers? I don't.
He won't be ready till week 15.
Tortilla says the defense suffers the most. Walter says this. He says, I like the left guard for Penn. And the fifth gets in the first, get a wide receiver in the second. There's a lot there. Mike Falai says, how don't you target Pat all season long? That didn't make any sense. And that's what I'm saying. There needed to be changes. Things weren't being operated correctly, and it was obvious. And hopefully we start to see those changes after we made changes, hopefully. Also, Aaron says this, before Pickens, Pat had the best hands on it. Hey, you're right. He matter of fact, at that point, he had, Mike, the best success as a Steeler tight end at that point in his career, which was like 2 or 3 seasons, better than anybody. And I'm talking Heath Miller. I'm talking the whole way down the list. His numbers were literally better than every Steeler tight end on the team to that point in his career, in the history of the team. It's unbelievable. Just the lack of use of Pat Freiermuth.
Yeah.
And TC says this, we need to focus on the offensive line. I agree. One more question, guys, and then we are going to start getting ready to wrap things up here. Ciamalo, you sign him back for one more year? Just one. I'm not talking about giving money. I know we're talking about getting younger. One more year. Get him back. Get maybe your draft pick in and have him work with him a little bit. Maybe share a little time. Do you pay Isaac Ciamalo to come back for one more season? Mark Malone saying hell no. Right on the board. He did not hesitate at all. What do you think, Mike? One more year. Ciamalo. Give him something reasonable.
Like, I kind of agree with Walter there. Like, I like him, but it is time to go. I'm leaning towards no right now. I wouldn't be opposed to it if we have to, but it's time to move on.
Somber says he needs to retire. Walter says it's time. Mark says no. So, again, we will see. It's going to be interesting. Again, we'll certainly be addressing the offensive line in the draft. And then you have the Andersons, Mike, and you have Dylan Cook out there on the left side of the line. So, again, there's guys in place that we're still trying to fill out to see if they can be the guy. There's a couple guys that we have is already kind of etched in stone with your Zach Frazier's and your Fatanu out on the right tackle. But there's still some of these guys, Mike, that, again, in small sizes, Dylan Cook was looking good. We got to see more of him. And again, the
Yeah,
Andersons. The Andersons were pretty serviceable filling in down the stretch.
yeah.
So again, like I think they do address the offensive line in the draft. Not anything crazy or early, but I do think that they grab a couple positions, Mike, on that offensive line,
Yeah.
just to kind of get the depth there.
Me too. Which Anderson was our was it Spencer Anderson was always tackle eligible?
I think yeah, was it or what was the other? What's the other?
Calvin Anderson? Well, it might have been. It was Calvin Anderson, right? Well, whoever was the tackle eligible, I would give him a try at left guard because I know the game when it had been Calvin, because when Sayamala got hurt, he went in there like, oh shit, who's going to be that fourth or that extra offensive lineman? I thought he did it all right. You give him a shot there, and like I said on the board, I don't mind going to trying taking an offensive lineman in the first or second round, as long as you get a receiver either in the first or the second. You have to go either or in that order because they're both priority positions. I don't mind that, but if we can avoid having to draft a lineman in the first round, I'd rather do that. Because if one of those top flight receivers is there, you just snag him immediately.
I agree. Mackay. A lot of talk about Mackay Lemon, Mike. So again, it's interesting, guys.
My bad, guys. I got my Andersons mixed up. It was Spencer. My bad. I apologize, everyone.
Everybody pointed Mike.
Hey, I admit my mistakes.
So again, guys, who knows what we're going to do early, but I think that many people on the board certainly have mentioned a lot of needs, Mike, that we do need. It's going to be offensive line, it's going to be defensive line, it's going to be wide receiver. There's definitely some shining positions that we're going to see in the draft. Of course, who knows what we're going to do first. We're going to get more into that draft talk as we get closer, Mike. We have a few people that I have in mind. They're going to come in and work with us on the show here that are very into the draft. And we're going to add some segments. And as this show does continue to grow this year, coming up on our fifth season, Mike, or in our fifth year, I'm sorry, coming up on the 10th season this summer. A lot of things going to be going on with the two Dum Yinzers. It's going to be a blast. We hope everybody sticks around because we are here all year long talking Steelers and everything. Guys, it's going to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest offseason, certainly in my life for the Steelers as the changes continue to happen. And then, in August, we start getting some preseason games, and then we can see the fruit of it all in September as they do kick things off for the 2026 campaign. Guys, let me grab a couple more messages here, Mike. We're going to get into some trivia of the day. Of course, it's Super Bowl trivia this week. Mark Malone saying Spencer Anderson was the tight end. Also, Walter says this: you can get a left guard out of Bama as a backup. He plays all but left tackle. Walter follows it up by saying he'd be on the third and fourth. Mark Malone, hell, we might have Calvin to thank for Cook. Maybe. And Mark Malone follows it up by saying probably would never see him if Andrus Peat did not get injured. Mark Malone. Mike, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about the website?
The 2dumyinzers.com. Make sure you check it out, everyone. But all of our social media links here. There, Dumb Thoughts over there. We got, what else we got over there? Oh, yeah, the merch store. So check it out, the2dumyinzers.com.
Go check it out, everybody. A lot of cool stuff over there. Mike does a lot of work. His Dumb Thoughts, the links to every show, guys, all 903 of them. There's also contact information. And again, yes, the fist logo, a lot of cool things over there with that sharp logo on. Go check it out at www.the2dumyinzers.com. That's www.the2dumyinzers.com. All right, guys, it's time to get into it. It's time to get into trivia. This is Super Bowl week, Mike, as just five days. The Super Bowl 60 will be played between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. But you know what? I'm not going to bore everybody with those teams. It's going to be Steeler Super Bowl trivia today. So put on your thinking caps, Mike. Mike, put on your thinking cap. Everybody at home, everybody on the board. Here we go. Question of the day. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. How many of the Steelers' 8 Super Bowl appearances did they score first? How many of the Steelers' 8 Super Bowl appearances did the Steelers score first? Take a minute to think that over. We're live 5 days a week right here, Monday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. every day right here on the Tube.
On Tube.
Question of the day is this. Don't be afraid to throw your guesses up. Maybe you might know it. Throw it up. Or Tortilla saying 7. Guys, this is the question of the day. How many of the Steelers' 8 Super Bowl appearances? Of course, they went 6-2. How many of those 8 appearances did the Steelers score first in? Is the question of the day. Tortilla, he's saying 7. Mike, what's your thought process?
I know for sure the one that we played back in New Orleans back in the 70s, we scored first because it was 2-0 at halftime. I think it was L.C. Greenwood got the safety.
All right.
That's the only one that I know.
It's not a bad start. I know.
So I'm going to go with 6.
6. They scored first in 6 of their 8 Super Bowls is what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to lock you in. Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
All right. I'm locking Mike in. He says 6. 6 Super Bowls is how many they scored first in. Guys, again, the question of the day. Don't hesitate. Throw up your answers, guys. If you think you know it, even if you don't know it, throw some answers up. Let's see how close we can get. Guys, the question of the day. How many of the Steelers' 8 Super Bowl appearances did the Steelers score first? Walter saying 5. I'm going to give you a hint. That is correct, Mike. Your assessment of us scoring first against the Vikings in that Super Bowl is correct. That is my hint. So we know it's at least 1. Walter threw up 5. Danny Bowling, I do want to say welcome back to Danny. Great seeing you, Danny, on the terrible board. Danny's saying 5 as well. Tortilla's saying 7. Mike is saying 6. Guys, again, if you think you know this, the question of the day, how many of the Steelers' 8 Super Bowl appearances did the Steelers score first? Of course, this is something we talked about on the show about the Steelers struggling to do right now. So that was the correlation when I did throw this together, Mike, is how many of the 8 Super Bowls did the Steelers manage to score first? I see some 5s, some 6s, some 7s. Mike 6, 7. Boy, them kids are back at school, and I have to shed these bad habits, man. They were home that extra week. It really wore on me. 5, 5, 7, 6. Anybody else? Go ahead and throw your guesses up there. One more time. The question of the day is how many of the Steelers' 8 Super Bowl appearances did the Steelers score first in? And the hint was the Minnesota Super Bowl 16-6 win. The Steelers did, in fact, score that one. It was 2-0 to start that one. Scoring-wise, another moment we will give you the answer here. How many of the Steelers' 8 Super Bowls did the Steelers score first in? I'll give you a hint. Another hint. You want another hint?
Oh, another hint.
The correct answer has been said. It's either one of the numbers that somebody has said. Could be you, it could be Walter, it could be Danny, it could be Tortilla. That one of those is the correct answers. And yes, the Minnesota Super Bowl was one they did score first. And take a moment, think about that. Guys, here we go. How many of the Steelers' 8 Super Bowls did the Steelers score first in? The answer, of course, is 5. They did it in all 4 Super Bowls. In the 70s, they scored first, Mike, and Super Bowl 43, the one we just had a 17th anniversary of, year anniversary on Sunday. Of course, number 10's big catch. Of course, Debo's 100-yard dash after the interception. Those 4 games, the 4 70 Super Bowls and Super Bowl 43, the Steelers scored first in, Mike. They did not score first in both losses and Super Bowl 40. The Seattle Seahawks took a 3-0 lead in that game.
Right, yeah.
To get it started. So all 70s Super Bowl wins and Super Bowl 43 were all Super Bowls that the Steelers scored first. Great job, guys. And again, I tried to find ones that unless you know, you don't know, and that's when I think you get some really good guesses. So again, great job, guys. This was a tough one. Unless you knew, that's a tough one to know. Let's see what else we got here, Mike, as we are kind of at that point of the day. Don't forget, tonight you can watch the Pro Bowl. That's right, 8:00 on ESPN, the NFL Pro Bowl. That's not a mistake, guys. Tuesday. It's Tuesday night, Pro Bowl tonight. Catch Benny Sco and many, many others tonight on ESPN, guys, as the Pro Bowl just 5 days before Super Bowl 60. This Sunday, that is between Seattle and New England. We need a big Seattle win. Help us out for sure. Also, catch them Penguins. They're hot, Mike. They're in second place, and they're trying to continue to be in second place by themselves against the team right behind them. They go to Long Island to take on the New York Islanders. today at 7:30. Mike, they're inching their way to that top spot in the division. And I got to be honest with you, another win streak like they just had, or like they had a couple times this year, I think they could overtake that division. And again, what a difference that makes under a different coach.
Oh, yeah.
The total turnaround. I'm telling you, new energy coach, the new coach energy. It's a thing, Mike.
It is a thing, too. And some great offseason moves by Omar Khan, bringing in mid-season moves, too, trading for the goalie, swapping Jard for Stewart, and bringing in Chinnikov, whatever, the Russian from Columbus, where him and Malkin have just fucking connected unbelievably well. So new coaches and an aggressive GM, not rushing a rebuild, thing of beauty. Hopefully McCarthy and Workman and Weedle can mirror that success.
I'd like to see all three Pittsburgh teams improve this year as they all three have new coaches. So let's keep our fingers crossed for the black and the gold this year, Mike. I'm sure the Riverhounds will do fine. I'm sure the Gals, the Passion will do fine, as they always do. We need the big three. Let's get the big three to get some postseason success is the one thing that we've been missing here in Pittsburgh. So we're all pulling for that moving forward. Aaron Jade said he did not know that one. And also Tortilla says only Vanilla Thunder can Google and still get it wrong. That's true. It's very true. As he did, Mike, remember when you lost to the inanimate object one time when we were picking and doing picks? You literally lost to something that didn't even exist. So nothing surprises me anymore. Nothing.
I'm a special talent, my friend. A special talent.
It's a very special talent that he has. Also, guys, as you were getting ready for the Pro Bowl tonight, maybe if you're not drinking for the Pro Bowl, you certainly are going to want to have a little bit of fun Sunday when the Super Bowl comes around, guys, to watch the New England Patriots again get the opportunity to pass us or have 6 losses in the Super Bowl, which I think is equally as funny. The fact that they could have 6 losses in the Super Bowl. They're working on having more losses than they are wins. But any way you slice it, you're going to want to stop by and get yourself some Duquesne Pilsner, guys. This beer is now available at Giant Eagle. You can get 6-packs and 12-packs at Giant Eagle, or stop at your local distributor and get yourself a case of Duquesne Pilsner. The gentleman over at Duquesne Pilsner always adds us and includes us in this promotion. We couldn't thank him enough, guys. So in return, we ask you to stop by, get yourself some Duquesne Pilsner, or if you're not a drinker, maybe just swing over to their social media and do hit the like and follow button. I'm sure that they'll appreciate that as well. But Mike, we always have Duquesne Pilsner here on tap in the studio, made right here in Pittsburgh, and it says on the can, Mike, grab a Duke.
Grab a Duke.
Grab a Duke. What else? What else do we got to talk about, Mike? I do want to say this. If you get a chance, go check out our social media. We are all over the place. We're on Facebook. We're on X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and even TikTok. Swing by, hit the like button, hit the follow button. Keep up with what the two Dum Yinzers are up to on a day-to-day basis. You can even Google us and AI us. All kind of cool information out there on the internet now. To follow the two Dum Yinzers. And finally, if you haven't yet, do hit the like button down below. Hit the like, sub, share, even a comment if you feel the need. Throw something up, and it all helps us in the algorithm, guys, and we appreciate it all. Thank you so much. Mike, before we do get ready to wrap it up, again, we have a big Penguin game tonight. Back-to-back nights. They lost yesterday to Ottawa after being on a 5-game streak. Maybe start back over tonight with the Islanders. Pro Bowl tonight, Mike. What are you watching? What are you looking forward to most watching tonight in sports?
The Pittsburgh Penguins. It's not even close. I get to watch Sidney Crosby play still at a high level, or I get to watch Ben Skoranek and Shedeur Sanders in a Pro Bowl. I'm good. I'm going to stick to hockey.
I'm a football guy. I will be excited to watch the Pro Bowl. I want to see Benny Sco and everybody play football tonight. I was just watching I seen an old video where I don't remember who it was, but they lit this punter up, and
Sean Taylor.
It was Sean Taylor. Kind of telling me that they don't play in the Pro Bowls. At least back then they sure did. Sean Taylor killed that guy. I'm pretty sure, Mike, he literally killed him. Obviously not, but again, I would love to see the Pro Bowl actually be anything besides what it is. It doesn't look like that's the way it's trending, but I will be watching football tonight as Mike is watching hockey. We'll be back tomorrow at our regular time to get into all that and so much more, and keep an update on what's going on with this head coaching position, Mike, as we do have another interview today, as Tolzien does deny. He turns down the Pittsburgh Steelers and their offensive coordinator job to keep his job in New Orleans, and also Coach Haslett as well, son of Jim Haslett, Chase. Chase also turned down the Steelers as he is returning back to the Saints as usual, or as well as Tolzien is. Other than that, guys, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back for Hump Day, heading into Super Bowl weekend this weekend, Super Bowl 60. Seahawks, Patriots, Mike, anything before we wrap it up? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Have a good day, everyone. This was fun. Can't wait to do it again tomorrow.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Thanks for coming and hanging out. We certainly appreciate each and every one of you. We truly, honestly do. We wouldn't do it without you guys. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to everybody on the board. You guys always keep things interesting here on the show, as you are the lifeblood of the show. Thank you so much. We couldn't thank you enough. And everybody at home as well. If you're in the car, in the gym, maybe you're at work listening or watching the show, thank you too, guys. You all make it worth it. We love being here talking Steelers and everything else with all you guys. So again, thank you so much, Miss Pittsburgh. We appreciate that. Miss Pittsburgh says great shows always, guys. We appreciate you, Miss Pittsburgh, and everybody else, and some of the regulars, and then also, Mike, a lot of faces that are new even also nowadays. Thank you as well, guys. You guys are awesome. We appreciate each and every one of you, the OGs, the brand new ones, everybody. You all mean something, as you are all Steeler Nation. Vegas says this. Take your vitamins, brother. Somber, my man. Always great seeing all you guys. Mike, one more time. Any last words you got? Any words of wisdom before we head off into Tuesday?
Never trust or never play pool against a man named after a city. That's one of my key words of wisdom. I've lived by that my entire life, and I've never been stabbed at a pool hall by following that one key piece of advice.
All right, there you go, guys. You heard it here. You heard it here. If that benefits you, there you go.
I'm just saying.
All right.
I've played pool against people, and once I find out they're named after a city, I don't play pool with them, and I've never been.
Like
stabbed.
what city? What kind of names do people name themselves after that have that name?
You got Minnesota Fats. You got the Cincinnati Kid. You got the Reno Rubber. There's all kind of weird names.
All right.
Shreveport Porter. You don't want to play those guys.
All right, I learned something today. Again, guys, we'll be back tomorrow at our regular time.
Tortilla.
We hope to see everybody. Go ahead.
I was going to say, never trust a man named after food.
Like what?
Tortilla said, never trust a man named after
Tortilla.
food.
Gotcha. Good one. Mike, anything else? So you can either cut me off again, or I can allow you to speak again, or what's the compromise here? All right. Just kidding, guys. Thank you so much again. We'll be back tomorrow at our regular time. Hope to see everybody then. Have a great Tuesday. Stay safe. Stay warm. And again, we'll be here with all the updated information as we do head into Super Bowl weekend, guys, in this biggest Steeler offseason certainly in my life, guys. We're here for all of it. We hope to see everybody back tomorrow. For Derpy, for Finch, who I do think is going to be here tomorrow. I know Finch is going to be here for sure, and I think Derpy is going to be as well, guys. It could be a banger tomorrow. A lot of things could be going down, but again, we hope to see everybody then. For Finch, for Derpy, for Mike, myself, the two Dum Yinzers, have a great Tuesday, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.